Okay. Welcome back,
Should
everyone.
check which ones you. Sorry.
Welcome
I
back,
don't think we
everyone.
started. I thought we were like.
Sam.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the Dev Plays Villain campaign. Last session. So, I gave you guys a load of choices, but no one really told me much, but we'll go into this and we'll get through it. So, last session, you guys had stolen the... Well, you'd gone to the rendezvous, attacked the 2 agents and the 3 JEO officers, and once you had finally gotten the body that you needed, a recently deceased Agent Nerve, you then brought him back to the second rendezvous, which is, or should I say was, technically still is, inside of a church. And you have now met the leader of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, a Pestilence. You were told that if you could at least bring them the case and the battery unharmed, then you would be rewarded. Sadly, the case was damaged, but you then were revealed that the device inside of it is, as I just said, a battery, a special Anomon powering battery that seems to grant a huge amount of energy, enough that it actually hurts most superhumans that are anywhere near it. It gives off a unique energy and radioactive signature, which is very deadly, but apparently it could power anything, including the entirety of the world if it was entirely wired up. It was then placed into a pocket dimension that Pestilence himself opened up, and you were told that it would be a few days before you would have any information on the other scientists that you would potentially need to retroactively, or at least reverse engineer the device. One is, however, inside of a prison, the other one is unknown, and the other one is within Iris City, but you have no idea the exact location. So, they said that you needed a few days. During this time, Thromethramel, aka the Butler, has actually stated that if any of you guys needed any information or any help, then just inform him and he will give you any information on any jobs that you want to do. Most of you turned this down because the only ones of you that were actually still available are currently, well, Graham, you still have possessed this person and we'll get back to you in a second. However, the only 2 that are outside of the pocket dimension are, well, the only 3 out of the pocket dimension is Vale, Talos, and Bartholomew. The 3 of you are now still just standing in there. Did you want to speak to them or ask them any other questions? Since apparently there are at least, well, all of the 4 horsemen are here. Did you want to ask them or say anything to them before you left, or did you just want to leave and sort of get back to what you needed to do?
Well, I need medical attention.
I mean, Toxie, you're unconscious and also in a pocket
Yeah,
dimension.
I'm unconscious.
Ben,
yeah.
you're also in a pocket dimension, so...
Yeah.
I just need to go shopping.
Okay.
Did we mention the names of the heroes last time?
Yeah, we did. I think
Did we?
Well, you mean the, did you mean the, agents?
the agents.
Yes.
Yeah.
You informed them that, yeah, I'll say that you've informed them that they were known as Nerve and as, Digit. And the fact that Digit had some kind of device that allowed him to teleport away when things got too tough.
Yeah.
They said perhaps a teleportation belt, but the device would only allow them to teleport to either each other within a certain radius or to the actual beacon back in the agency. The person who was taking a hold of the device themselves, who was actually being brought the device, probably couldn't have used that device to get away, because even if the object that they were holding came with them, it would only teleport them to the agency's facility, and they actually needed to go to the facility of the defense, meaning that they would have gone to the completely other side of the entire city. So travel would have only been normal means. With that being said, however, I'm gonna say that since no one actually sort of gave me any sort of inkling, I'm just gonna say this. A few days have passed, or at least a couple days have passed, and still no word from Thramethramel or the others whatsoever. During the time, however, Vale called upon an old friend to get the others patched up and healed up, removing the bullet and also sealing up the wound, stitching you up, blitz cannon, and also basically sort of just like helping you with your face, Toxie, since you got punched in it twice.
Yeah.
I'm
just like, one side of my face is just completely purple, and that will be purple for a while.
He
Yeah.
got the swelling down, and he also stitched you up so you won't be bleeding, blitz cannon. But pretty much like that has cost about 150 stars each. As I said before at the beginning of this, all of you were given cards that store basically a certain amount of currency. The currency is 2,000 stars each, and every single one of you have. So now, blitz cannon.
So now I have 1850.
1850. Yeah, both of you have 1850. As for that, I'm going to say, Talos, did you say that you wanted to go off and get something as well during the
Yeah, I haven't thought too deeply about it, so I'll just say, I don't know, I'll go buy a taser.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Just buying a taser. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, so you go off and you just basically just go to a random shop that eventually you find sells sort of tasers, and
I'll get 2 tasers in case
Okay.
the other one doesn't work.
that costs you
So
around about. That costs you around about. I'll say. Let's have a look. You know what? I'll say that they both do. Let's say that they both do about a D6 each. So because of that, they cost about 50 stars each.
Cool.
Okay. So you're now at like 1,900 stars.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else?
Well, I do actually. I'm not really like shopping, but I do want to do something in preparation for what we agreed to do. I'm going to like do a bit of information gathering for.
Okay. What kind of information
we
are you
do
trying
that?
to gather?
Well, I'm trying to like I'm just sort of like on the museum thing that we're going to do.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
trying to, like,
Okay. So no, never
yeah,
mind.
no, for now. Yeah, never mind. Yeah.
Is anyone
not yet.
wanting to buy anything or bring anything? Just over the next two, like just bringing it back to the hideout.
I'm probably good. I'm a
Well,
skeleton. I don't
actually-
need much.
I mean, actually, I would like to buy some more chemistry supplies.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We'll sort those out later then.
Later, yeah.
Blitz
To the
cannon?
car cost.
I mean, technically you
Uh,
have a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need another car. We got a perfectly good car right
mean-
here.
I could always create a bone mobile.
I think I'm
Yes, can I?
I'm pretty good for now. I mean, I have literally fired a bullet. So
That is true. You have only fired a single bullet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then. So you, I guess I have to ask this, Bartholomew. Are you going to attempt to make the bone mobile?
Do we need the bone mobile at the moment?
Well, I have actually do.
a better question is, why don't we need the bone mobile?
That's a good point.
Why wouldn't we
Well,
need the bone mobile?
I do have a question though. How do we power the bone mobile though?
The only person who can
fair
power the
point.
bone mobile would be Bartholomew.
Essentially, I have to be in it for it to move.
Okay, so well, at least we got like 2 cars that have to be operated by
Yeah.
specific people.
I could make just a very long bone bicycle that we can all just pedal.
Bone cycle.
Yeah.
Are we just wait? On literally all of it. Hold on, like with how much? Well, it's a tandem is like 2 bikes. What? Like okay, 1, 2, 3, 4,
That'd
5,
be
6 people.
And it's funny
6
that
people.
you say that because you could actually probably get a bike. You could probably like do it in 2 parts. So Bartholomew would only have to roll twice, and he could make like 2 6-meter, basically 2 6-meter long objects. So basically, the first triple tandem, and then the second triple tandem. It's like, yep, there we go.
Yeah.
Sounds wildly impractical and more dangerous than necessary.
That's basically
Kind of
you guys in a
right.
nutshell.
I mean, everyone knows how to ride a bike. You've done it as a child. Not that I was a child.
So
Yeah,
I guess roll SP twice, and we'll see if you get those.
Okay.
Whilst that's going on, I'm assuming that no one else is doing this, so I'm actually going to explain what happens with Arsenal. Arsenal, during the time that you have taken over Derek, you sort of live his life for a bit, do some things, change some stuff in his life. However, I'm going to say, do you attempt to make it better? Do you attempt to ruin it? Do you even attempt to go back to his family?
I don't go back to his family.
Okay.
I after the event that I took control of him. I basically spent that night spending all the money he had on him on a major like drinking and drug binge.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm going to say roll me Constitution with +1, since that was his Constitution.
I love how we just ruined this one guy's life
Okay,
for no
so
reason.
basically,
I mean, we're villains.
Again,
are villains.
you've been doing this for 3 days. Are you continuously doing this over 3 days?
Uh,
Taking his money, using it all to just have like this massive 3-day bender.
yeah. Let's go with that. Yeah.
Until he dies.
Pretty much as like on the 3rd day, like you no longer are able to possess him as his body just gives in. As you don't feel the pain, but you feel the sensation of his heart stop, and your clutch over a living being no longer being tangible, as you no longer have control over a living creature, as you're no longer really able to possess this body for much longer, as you're feeling it die.
Oh God!
Where is he? I'm guessing he's dying in some sort of drug den.
Yeah, he just literally like as this sort of like
As I feel him dying, he's obviously going to be too weak to hold the gun because he's going to be holding me the entire time. So he sort of drops me. As he drops me, I then transform back into myself. And I look over him and go, "Fucking hell, mate. 3 days, that's all you could do? Ah, fucking loser," and just walk off.
after the 3-day bender, you eventually come back to the hideout itself, where everyone is sort of just like doing their own thing. You notice that like Talos has just used both of his tasers to sort of just tase himself, and he doesn't even flinch as like his body lights up like a little Christmas tree. You see like an entire massive bone cycle and a sort of like almost like a bone dune buggy that could hold like at least like a good 4 or 5 people in the back, but with a big seat with a steering wheel in the front, like and like almost like a cockpit followed up with like a huge trailer in the back. It's like basically just 2 bone vehicles, a yellow car that looks kind of like a bit crappy, and then you've then just got like just down by the side, Vale again, like dressed in this sort of like old 50s gangster style stuff with like sort of shadows like holding stuff for him as he's looking through a newspaper.
Okay, I don't care about any of that. It's just like, oh, okay. I just go straight over to Vale and go, right then, mate, give me my breakfast. Come on.
Without even losing my place in the paper, you just see like cocaine just kind of move out from a shadow place.
Yep, and I just grab it and wander into a corner and have breakfast.
Roll survival or
Sugary
metabolism,
crisp.
whichever one it is for this specific drug. What one is it that they have to roll for?
Metabolism.
Okay, metabolism.
love the fact that I actually have a -1 on constitution with the character.
Oh, this is great. Okay, so whilst that you sort of like you are, I'm assuming you are either consuming this in the form of snorting or actually just
Yeah,
like
I'm snorting it.
fair enough. As you do so, you feel your body just start going numb from your nasal passage all the way down your throat, and you feel like this exhilarating feeling followed by like a horrible heart thumping. But this is all part of the gig for this particular type of drug that, especially if he's the one who's made it. This is Vale's stuff, so this is all a familiar feeling. Whilst this is going on, however, Vale...
You just wait. You just hear me in the background just go, just ain't the same if it's not your own body. Oh, this is the good stuff.
I want to point out you have almost been felt numb. You know that feeling, but it's not. It's almost like it's not personal. It's almost like imagining the feeling.
Yeah.
Except from a little closer to it. But when you have it now, it is almost like as if you've been clean for the last 3 days. Like that's how much of a sudden hit this feels. Vale, you suddenly notice something out of the corner of your eyes. You're sort of flipping around. As you then look back to a previous page, it states this. Wonderful news in the Heroic Hero Museum. New exhibits. See the Dastardly Villains Museum also come to life with our new exhibits. As you then sort of have a look, it then states, new moments of heroism. To see is not to believe, but true heroism is shown in this very museum. Relics of the past, and even monuments to the present. Hopefully, to the future as well. It then goes on to saying that there is at least 2 or 3 new hero museum exhibits. In other words, new hero exhibits that have now come out with new items and old costumes, retired costumes, even replicas of the current costumes, but even more so, a few other bits and pieces from old villains as well as new current villains who have just recently been captured. This has caught your eye because it then states it to be the linchpin of heroism in tourism. In other words, heroic tourism at its best.
Yes, capitalism.
So, Vale, you're the only one who knows about this at the moment. Do you bring this to the attention of any of the others, or...?
Yes.
Okay.
You just see Vale, the paper goes down on the table, and he just stands up and points at the... Assuming it's an advertisement as opposed to a full article.
Pretty much it is a full article, yeah.
I think I found our next hit.
I'm always up for a good hit.
I'm just sort of I'm coming round from like I think that Toxie's just sort of been moping these past 3 days after getting their ass beat. So Toxie's in their bunny pajamas, their comfort bunny pajamas, and it's just sort of like, with their face, half purple, just looking at us like, so what? Like, it's nerd stuff, right? I mean, I dropped out of school. Why do we need to go there?
Well, I mean,
looks...
if there's a bunch of hero and villain gadgetry in there, we could probably get some of it for ourselves. Might be useful, assuming it still works.
Well,
Exactly. Even if it doesn't, sends a powerful sign.
You say that I can wreck stuff?
Not immediately. I think it's
Oh,
best
yeah,
we at least go in and see it first before we begin the destruction.
Well, alright, but I ain't paying admission. That looks pretty expensive.
I don't think we're going to be paying admission anyway.
Oh, I smell what you're stepping in.
Yes, I'll be paying admission.
That's
Don't
not
think
quite
I'd
what I
be
thought.
letting.
How about a
Unless I
nice-
was an exhibit.
Well, at least, maybe we could go under the cover of night and just go in, take stuff, wreck stuff, maybe tie up a few security guards for fun.
Sounds a lot more fun now that you say it like that. I had just the idea of just casing the place at day.
So this is a trip for fun.
Oh, yeah,
it's
fun,
it's like a
possibly.
vacation trip, you know?
Yeah, I think we've had a pretty rough time of late. So
I, mean, I
why
don't,
not
I don't
just
even know what happened last time. I was in a void.
That is true.
That is true. I just look at you with my half purple face, and I'm like, and I just point towards it, saying, "Didn't end well. Not great. Not a great time."
Despite my lack of eyes, I can see that.
You're never gonna stop with the jokes, are you?
What
He
jokes?
never does.
So after speaking this out and coming to a vote, with at least three of them all coming to the definitive vote, and the others feeling a bit questioning on this, you all realise that it is probably best to actually go and see it with your own eyes.
Yeah.
After waking a half asleep, if not fully asleep, Arsenal up from his almost near drug-based coma, it comes to the attention that you guys are going to have to get there by some means. Now, obviously, there is the possibility of the car, there is the possibility of void and shadow, and there is obviously the possibility of bone-based vehicles. So the question is, what is the best way to go about this?
I'll drive.
I mean,
I get in the yellow car.
I feel like
I have
the
a hunch
bone-based
bone
vehicles
vehicles-
should be reserved for the heist rather than the casing.
Loud and
yeah,
proud,
it's a bit too.
spray and pray missions.
Bit too recognizable. I feel like, after we've done that a few times, it'll send up alarms right away.
Yeah, I think we should save this for the wacky races. Definitely. Let's just have boring old yellow car.
Some of you suddenly feel
welcome.
confused. What is wacky races?
When you have the race in the racks. Does no one else watch television?
No.
You.
I was there for the birth of television. Of course I watched it.
Oh, I must prefer my good old radio dramas.
I can't believe that I'm in a group with you. This is just
Crack
get in
dens
the
don't
car.
usually have TVs.
Talking about kid.
So with that being said, would you guys like to roll charisma or all come to a vote?
I'm
Okay,
down for whatever shit we want to do.
I mean, I'm going to go for. Yeah, I don't know. I think probably a vote. I'm going to, vote for the not bone vehicle. Our good old yellow.
I too
yellow
vote
reliable.
for not bone.
Okay, so we've got two for the yellow car.
I think that the bone vehicles would be quite a poor choice of vehicle.
I've already got in the yellow car and I've tried to start it. If there's no key, I'm trying to hotwire it.
very well. So
You guys are breaking my
got
heart. I
technically
don't
3 or
even
4.
have one.
Using the same logic that you previously had, due to that fact, the rest of you are now realizing, well, I guess it's yellow car time. You also remember that this is a vehicle for about 4 to 5 people, and there are 6 of you. So someone is going to have to either get in the boot or get in the void,
Or turn into a gun.
or turn into a gun.
Or two people could turn into guns.
Or hide in the shadows beneath the car.
Okay, so
Sounds like a lot of effort.
Talos, I'm assuming that obviously you come you go up and you see just Arsenal just trying to hotwire the car. To roll intelligence, Arsenal?
Intelligence.
Intelligence. Oh, ingenuity or creativity, I guess.
Okay.
To
Hey!
some avail, you've got some of the wires out, and you're figuring out roughly how it works.
Creativity, that would have been a 15. Sorry, a 16.
Okay. Either way,
So,
whilst this is going on, Talos, you sort of like meander on up to him, just seeing that he's just like messing with the wires in the car.
Arsenal, what are you doing? That is not how we drive a car.
Not how you drive a car. I've done this for years.
I believe I am the driver of the yellow car.
I called shotgun. Well, not shotgun. I called dibs. I've been in here for the last 2 minutes.
Can you even become a shotgun?
no,
I didn't realize that was one of the guns that you could transform into.
Not funny. I'm just going to go back to playing with the wires.
Question: do we have any face masks around here? I'm a pretty recognizable fellow, and I don't think it'd be a great idea for me to.
Look, I'm gonna change into my tactical pajamas, and you can have like, and you can have my my casual hood, a snood.
A snood.
How's that, Boney? Have a snood, Boney.
Sounds good. I shall put on the
I get-
snood.
2 pajama
You know,
wearing
it is
people, and we've also then got a okay. So Arsenal, he's like very adamant, like that he just like he's driving. As this happens, like Vale and Blitzcannon, you've come out now. Everyone is sort of like readying it up, if not fully ready. But like Arsenal and Talos seem to have like this like back and forth about who's driving the car. Do either of you step in?
Just let Talos drive, Arsenal. Seriously.
I called dibs. Dibs counts for everything.
No one called dibs.
I didn't hear you.
I retrieved the car. This is my car.
We could always go in my car.
And I'm stealing it. I steal cars.
Well, I stole the
Arsenal.
car first.
And I stole it second, which means it's now mine.
Oh, this is a real meeting of the minds here, isn't it?
This is
It
an
really
interesting.
is.
This is an interesting thing. Since Talos, did you know that it was possible to steal a steal?
You have been caught stealing the car and thus have not succeeded.
Not yet. And I'm still trying to hotwire it.
So
Fair
it
enough.
is still my car, meaning I can drive.
Fight, 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 fight.
I'm just ignoring him now and trying to start the car.
Roll dexterity, and Talos, is there anything that you want to do?
Just sleight of hand or just dexterity?
You can use finesse, which is sleight of hand, yeah.
Yeah, finesse. Boom.
Yeah, is there anything that you want to do, Talos, or are you just letting him do this at this point?
I will watch him.
The car eventually starts sputtering and making some really awful noises, but eventually kicks itself into life.
Hey! Still got the magic touch. And then I'm just going to look at Talos and go,
I
oh
think
yeah,
that says more about the car than you.
now I'm just going to look at Talos and go, oh, by the way, I ain't got a license. I'm just going to hit the accelerator.
As you drive off on your own.
Yeah.
No one else has gotten in the car.
Well, as for getting in my vehicle, hop in, everyone.
Wait,
Okay.
before he gets too far
Yeah,
off.
I'm just gonna slightly lift the vehicle off of the ground.
Fair enough.
like-
Roll for it, I guess. And Arsenal, roll me driving. Do you have the proficiency of driving?
Natural 20.
A natural 20.
I just said I don't have no, I do not have proficiency
Fair
in
enough.
driving.
As you
Disadvantage.
drive off, sort of like veering side to side, literally it just then suddenly lifts up, like a couple of inches off the ground, and you can hear the wheels spinning, but they're not actually connecting to anything. As Talos, I'm assuming that you just bring it back,
Yeah.
as you currently feel like you're moving, but the car is still driving forwards, or at least the wheels are still turning forwards.
Can I flip the car on its side and open all the doors?
Yes, with a natural 20, yeah.
I will hold it in midair. waiting for him to vacate.
Roll me, I guess either Dex or Grapple to hold on to something.
Well, that'll be Dex.
Dex to sort of like climb around on the inside. As you're sort of like climbing and climbing, just like sort of like keeping it like sort of like, if I balance on these two seats, maybe I won't fall out. Talos, roll SP again to sort of shake him out as he has rolled this 16.
I'm training again. Oh.
As he like starts shaking you out, you're like, he'll never get me. As he then flips it round the other way, and you just fall out.
Get juked, son.
Toxie is just laughing their ass
I
off
believe
at this.
I
This
have
is just
reclaimed my vehicle.
You know, I do a clap for Talos, like, yeah, go Talos! You go, dude.
You know, power uses are just unfair.
I believe you are a power user.
Yeah, but I didn't use my powers to steal the car.
Hey, stop being an arse, Arsenal.
Hey. No.
As it becomes very apparent that like it is like to most of the others, it is probably best that Talos still uses his powers to drive, considering how much control he seemed to have had there in that situation.
Yeah.
Most of the rest of you sort of you know, if any of you wish to take a seat, you know, first come first serve. However, if not, to make up space, either transform or get into pocket dimensions or into shadows. One of those.
I will. Since Arsenal so clearly wants to be a part of the ride, I will roll SP to try and transform.
I kind of wish
I just assume that because I have time, I can automatically do it?
What's your SP modifier?
SP mod is 4.
Okay, and what's the roll requirement?
15.
I'm going to say you'd have to roll.
Cool.
Yep. So you turn into a sniper rifle.
Right.
Yep.
And you get in the back. There you go. You can just like.
Has this car got a sunroof?
Put me in the trunk.
Okay, so Blitzcannon is
Okay.
placed as his sniper form into the trunk. Arsenal, there is not a sunroof. No, it is just sort of like a full-on like yellow sort of car with a metal roof. Everything about this is not
just
very...
a saloon.
Yeah, pretty much. 4
We
doors
could
and
make one.
fairly small boot. Vale, what are you going to do? Because now there is 5 seats available. Everyone can sit down. They'd be fairly squished, but it is still possible.
I'm going to sit in the back, in the middle.
I am in the driver's seat.
Obviously. And
I'm
Arsenal, you're in the front. Okay, so everyone has got their positions, because then at that point, Toxie and Bartholomew, you are either side of Vale.
I'm just staring
at... this is the best. This is the best. We just sort of like a couple of kids just like playing, you know, with Vale in the middle.
As you go off into, you know, into the usual distance, this time you take a few different twists and turns to get to the location. As Vale is basically telling you where you need to go, you eventually get...
All the while I'm telling him other directions. Just to be honest.
Eventually you get to the outside of the museum itself, but you realise that you'll need to go to a car park. There is, however, a multi-storey car park about 200-300 metres north of north of the building itself. It is a huge museum. So, what would you like to do as you are sort of roughly outside of the building itself? I'm going to say that you've stored your vehicle in the multi-storey car park. It's up to you which of the stories, if you want to go to the underground levels, the upper levels, or the ground level.
Well, I better get you out of the boot first, but Cannon, you know, but like...
Yes, thank you for detrunking me. I would hate for my experience of this museum to be truncated.
No.
Oh.
Wow.
All right, back in the trunk you go. Get out of here. And that's terrible.
We shall park on the top,
Very well.
like a roof.
It is quite high up, about 50 to 60 meters up. Really tall building. Well, really tall location. As you get off there, you can see over, and it's got a good bird's eye view of most, like a decent chunk of the city. However, the main thing that's sort of catching your eye is that there is a sort of a glass ceiling on the top of this roof, on the top of the roof of the museum, as it is known as the Hall of Heroics Museum.
As we look at the at it, I'm going to attempt to turn my eyes into a scope so I can zoom in on that window and see what's inside and what's going on.
Okay, roll for it. By the way, Blitzcan, do you wish to detransform or do you wish to stay in your sniper?
I do wish to detransform, yes.
Fair enough. You don't have to roll for that.
It's a bit conspicuous.
Oh,
No, I'm still too high to do that. I think
high.
it's what I'm seeing, but that's not what I'm seeing
Fair enough.
because I'm still high.
You're just putting your hands over your eyes like a.
I literally
like
got
a
my hands
child,
up to
like,
my eyes
"I'm
like a
in
child
now."
with binoculars, and I think, "Whoa!" I think I'm seeing inside the building.
I will levitate for comfort.
Fair enough. Roll for it. Actually, what's the roll requirement on levitation? I just realised.
I think it's 10 and it's like 15 to fly.
Ah, okay. I guess it doesn't really matter. I'll just say yeah. Trivialized. Yeah, you're able to float. So okay, so you're just floating for the sake of comfort rather than actually like going any further up.
Yes, I shall wait to see what the master planner of this comes up with.
Do you state that out loud?
Yes.
Okay.
Whose plan was it to come here again?
Veils.
Yeah. Well, the Veil is more or less like you see him fix his suit from the crumples that no doubt Toxie and Bartholomew have caused by their menacing in the back.
We're just like two
Realign his
children
hat
on a
and then
road
just
trip.
walks. And then he just kind of walks towards the museum.
After you go down the either the stairs or the elevator to get onto the ground floor and eventually start walking towards the actual museum itself. This large, fairly intimidating building, as it has many posters outside of like different heroes: Daybreak, Viribus, Waspman. Even it states on a few of them, heroes of challenges past, as it then shows a sort of a man in basic looking clothing but glowing eyes, blue glow with like lightning sparking off of the sides of his eyes going around his face, almost like as if it's a mask of a strange ethereal aura. And a man with a huge beard and a large axe hammer on his back. Many different ones, as it then shows posters of, as well as those dastardly bad guys. As it then shows like a few villains here, there, and everywhere on a singular poster.
As we walk past each poster, I imitate the pose the heroes do.
I'd take some pictures on my phone. You say, listen.
Do I recognize any of like the villains or heroes from days long past?
Roll me a world knowledge, all of you, and I shall see whether or not any of you do recognise them.
Where's my world?
I'm not even going to roll.
3.
No,
With my background,
Basically rolling.
Joe, with my background, could I get advantage on this roll?
Only because that you are
Without telling anyone what my background is.
I'm gonna say yes. Okay, I'll allow you to have that. Yeah.
Mysterious. I like it.
What was my first? So I got a 10 or an 11. Oh, that was worth it.
Toxie, Bartholomew, Vale. Did you roll for world knowledge? No, Vale. Yeah. Vale is still needs to roll. Oh, there we go. Okay. Jeez. Yeah, Vale and Bartholomew.
Yeah.
You recognise none of these.
Then yeah, I wouldn't.
Except from one. Except from Bartholomew, you're the only one who actually does recognise it out of the two of you. Which is one of the pictures is a picture of your current boss, Pestilence. But Vale, you care so little about anyone who thinks that they're above you that you don't even recognise him. Also, he's not even wearing that mask that he had to talk and breathe through, so you don't even recognise him at all. However, as you're going around, you obviously recognise Viribus, the supposed strongest man in the world, aka the #1 hero. Daybreak, aka the supposed most powerful man in the world, hero number 2. Waspman, the #3 hero, who is apparently loved amongst many. However, he is not exactly known for any specifically powerful feats. And you see, in the terms of some of the villains, you see a few of these different ones. I'm going to say Arsenal, you also recognise one particular one. You don't recognise Pestilence because you've never met personally. But you do recognise Blade, a previous mercenary who was known and targeted as a hero killer. And you also recognise a specific villain who is covered in specific types of lightning, all different colours, going around his grey and sort of almost electric scarred skin, as he used to call himself, Dr. Spectro. And finally, Blitzcannon, you recognise all of the ones that I've just stated, but you also recognise another one. As the specific one that you pick out from the entire crowd is not only the guy in the beard, as the original hero who died a few years ago known as Odin, but also a hero killer known as Odin Slayer, aka Jern. A man who specifically was able to kill not only this very large hero at the back in the day, but also he is still supposedly on the loose.
Goals.
As you're sort of going in and having a look outside, it is now time to enter. There are some civilians just walking in and out. There's 2 security guards outside, and there very well may be more. But as we go to this, I will now show you the map. So here we go. And then I've also got it for everyone as well. I'll just go to this. There we are. Okay.
Table simulator works like a dream.
Absolutely. So, who would like to be what
I have
colours?
just one. Green.
All right, green.
Green.
Black.
Ich
Black.
möchte blau.
Black.
Yeah, I'll be red.
Okay. Toxie. Obviously, Sam the Veil. Who wanted to be red? Sorry.
I'll be red.
Okay. Talos.
I would like blue, please.
Okay. Blue. I'll call you Blitz.
Danke.
And yellow and purple. Who would like to be
That-
purple?
I don't mind.
Okay.
I think it's only me.
We'll have. I'll tell you what. We'll have Arsenal.
But arse.
There you go. And then we'll put
Bones.
Bones. There we go.
Surely he needs to be white.
Bones.
Yeah.
Bones.
Them bones, them sentient bones.
There we go.
I
We'll
mean,
have
both can be yellow.
a greyish.
There we go.
Okay, so you guys are now sort of entering this place as you see this. Now, I will just say the green dots are all showing just people. These 3 green panels here are actually showing fire exits.
Cool.
And anything here with benches are basically just like small barriers that are showing different things on exhibit. So, as you all walk in, as I shall attempt to... There we go. You notice that there are also 2 security guards either side of this door as well, which I shall show by placing these 2 dots here and recolouring them to match...
Weird, I'm just imagining us going full Reservoir Dogs.
Dun, 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 dun,
Maggie?
dun, dun. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can definitely do that, but I'm still in my jammies, and you know.
So, for
I'm
the
also
sake of
in your
it, I'm
jammies.
going to state that Vale is actually going to be spearheading this, so he's going to be at the front. Okay,
Yeah.
so in the very first thing that you see here is these
Even
2,
more suspicious.
these 2
I'm
panels
the
here.
backbone of this organization.
These 2 panels here are showing you all of the different things, as it also tells you that there is a second floor. The current floor that you are on is known as the ground floor, Hall of Heroes Museum. The one above, however, is known as the Dastardly Villains exhibits. So, that being said, the Dastardly Villains is upstairs, and the Hall of Heroes is right here, as it shows you all the different types of exhibits. I'm going to be saying exhibits a lot, so forgiven me. So, now that you've seen that, and most of you who I assume that can reads this, what do you all do today? What do you all do together? As again, Vale, this is your plan, so you feel responsible to at least be able to formulate what they will do next.
We should probably get a pamphlet of all the exhibits. That's just my personal opinion.
Yes, and then we just act like tourists, obviously. Just look around, take photos, pose.
See if there's anything good to take.
Yes,
Pictures
brilliant.
of. Take pictures of.
Exactly.
Well,
Right here for a
well
fun
saved.
day, aren't we all?
Okay, so do you all want to stick together, or do any of you want to split up?
I think we should
Definitely,
we should
It's
probably.
we need a buddy groups of 2.
I've probably already wandered off.
I say,
Okay,
all right, we all sit
unless
together.
anyone-
Arsenal.
Okay,
Ow.
Arsenal,
anyone knows-
what direction do you wish to go off in?
I'm heading straight for the villain bit at the top.
Okay, so you've already been told where that is, so you go off here. So I'm going to put you here for now because this is the elevator. So you go off to the elevator.
Right.
As Arsenal is sort of going off, does anyone wish to go and follow him so that at least they can keep an eye on him, or are they just
Yeah, I'll stick with Arsenal.
Okay. Blitz, I'll let you go off as well.
Shooty friends go
Thanks,
together.
Blitz the babysitter. We'll have to.
I feel like that is my role for everyone in this group.
Yeah, send the 2 guns off together.
I've been nothing but a responsible adult this entire time. I don't know too about.
So as you're sort of standing there, you realise that there is 4, and how you will split up is now up to you.
I mean, I'm usually go with my best bud Bartholomew, but only with consent.
I'm up for anything. I have no idea what we're doing here.
Hey,
What
Pajama
exhibit
Brigade.
sounds good to you? I wonder if there's a bone exhibit.
I mean, we can check. Maybe there's an anthropial section.
Perhaps. Well, let's find out.
Yeah.
As you two start like talking and start like veering off, despite the fact that Vale is attempting to like try and like gain some kind of some kind of working order, you two go off.
No, he's not. He's just looking at the pamphlet right now to see what's the best thing to look at first.
As you're sort of doing that, I want to point out, Talos, are you floating, or are you trying to make it look like as if you're sort of not floating? How exactly are you trying to keep this going?
I'm kind of, I guess, would be floating like as minimally off of the ground as possible.
Yeah, because that won't look terrifying. Excuse me, sir. Why are you floating?
Sir, you appear to be possessed.
It's a great way to get around.
To be fair, the way that you're floating, I'm imagining at this point you're sort of almost like looking over Vale's shoulder to see the pamphlet that he's looking at. So what specifically are you looking for? Are you just looking for everything Vale on here? Vale?
Sam?
I'm just trying to think what I would be like. Well, just kind of like the biggest villain, the biggest heroes, whatever. Just just the usual things. Seeing if there's anything useful I might want. Is there anything good?
So the exhibit state is such: the first hero, Origin, Thermite, the fire hero, Viribus, the number one, and then in brackets, the strongest man in the world. Daybreak, the most powerful man. The flaming sun, still number 2. Odin, yeah. There we go. Odin, the man, the myth, the legend. R.I.P. Wing. Babylon, the everything hero. There is then Wizard Woman, and then Mage Boy. Sidekicks, Flicker, Mage Boy, and many others. It says etc. after only 2 sidekicks. It then says the villain of the exhibit, Pestilence, the man who claimed title of the entirety of villain organization. Then says mob bosses, Lupin Del Roman and Fendrix Del Roman. Mob bosses and villains. Rory Claymond, aka Calamity, the human disaster.
Wait, they're like waxwork dummies of these dudes, or?
It states that there are. It states in these particular things. It just states that all of the different exhibits. There's villains, the top 10 heroes, the knights of the government. It talks about the worst of the worst villains, the supervillains, Zeta-Max prisoner villains. It talks about sidekicks. It talks about organizations. It talks about the heroes we've lost, the villains who will always be remembered for how evil they were, etc., etc. Basically, the most impactful heroes, the most impactful villains, the sidekicks that have helped them, or the worst of the worst bad guys, or the current like top leaders of heroes and villainy.
So I think this would be a good opportunity to learn about at least some of our employers.
As you say that only to Arsenal in the lift as you go up.
Yep.
Well, I'm just going to go about and look at the exhibits and just act like a tourist, more or less. Read the signs, get bored after a bit, go to the next one. The usual things tourists do whenever they go to museums.
Have you ever been to a museum, Sam?
Yeah.
That's pretty much
I went to the Salvador
do.
Dali Museum.
I will go here and...
Okay, so you've only been to boring museums. Got it.
Oh, of course, get the wee audio things into your ears so the museum people will tell you.
They don't actually have any audio things per se.
Oh, we have to read? God.
Well, did they at least have like one of those fun things, like the wee do-it-yourself exhibits?
So, Toxie and Bartholomew, you guys are talking as you sort of come to around about here, as you find a strange sort of wax doll of a woman who has long brown hair, a huge hat, and large robes, holding some kind of stick, as the exhibit states mage man, and then it says wizard woman. As you then look next to it, as you then see a strange sort of like gi looking thing, only like with more robes at the bottom for sort of like almost like almost like a waist, sort of skirtish thing. But basically, as it says, wizard woman and mage boy.
Ugh, lame.
There is, in front of the glass casing, however, a little panel of words, but then next to it there is a button.
Is it an audio button?
Is it blocked off, or can I press it?
It seems as though you can press it.
I'm gonna press it then.
Yeah, you press it.
There have been many people who design, as it then starts playing an audio log, there are many people who
Nice.
design the world around us, in the concepts of buildings and all sorts of different forms. But I have never seen something so beautiful as the powers of both Wizard Woman and Mage Boy. Abilities that almost anyone would consider as magic. Thanks to powers, we now know roughly how most of them work, but not necessarily how we got them. But now, her powers, in fact both of their powers, have shown us exactly what we are missing. We still don't fully understand the powers and the abilities of Mage Boy or Wizard Woman. As a matter of fact, it seems as though they have the abilities of material manipulation. They have the abilities of some kind of pocket dimensional manipulation, and also they have the ability of transmutation. We still are fully unaware, but as we've said before, it seems almost like magic. Currently still working as a hero, she is known as a great and powerful mage hero. Still not one of the top 10, but maybe one day it is possible in her current career. This is a current retired robe of what she used to wear a few years back. As he then gives the date, 15... I just now have to look. There we go. Yes, 1585. So that's 5 years ago. And the
You think
wand,
I'd look good in that?
and the one that she used to use. Mage Boy's cloak seemed to be more of fighting styles, but still had similar powers to Wizard Woman. They claimed both not to be together, but instead knew each other through some ways or means. The truth of this is still yet unclear. The audio log finishes.
How magical.
Because it kind of, when I be thinking it's like, I don't know, what do I have to roll to, like, see if these things could be blood transfused or, like, have some kind of property?
There is nothing that would allow you to see that. Like, you don't have any powers that allow you to do that. You aren't able to touch it, and even if you didn't need to touch it, you still can't see it with your own current capabilities, and your powers don't access them either.
I feel that these are like special roles, so Toxie will remember this, and I will just, is there anything else in this room that could be cool, or is this the entire?
This is where you currently are. Like, there is still a whole hallway and then an entire little other room here.
Yes, we would. Yes, we would.
As you go off, we will now go over to another. I actually have the ability to load it. Why am I not doing that? There we go. Top floor. Load. And there we go. Resume. So, as we come back to... And I'll just go and get these, just so that then you actually exist. There we go. Yep, there we go. Grab those. Put those there. Right. Okay, so you guys come up, and immediately it is very obvious that this place is a tad emptier than the others. There are still a few people dotted around, which I will add as we go along, but it is very obvious that there aren't anywhere near as many people in this exhibit. It's quieter, and quite frankly, it is a lot more barren.
I obviously didn't look at the pamphlet, but is there like a thing that shows like a list of the villains they have on show here?
Absolutely. Literally, as you come out on the back of this board here, it actually does say and show you. As you read it, are you looking for anything specific, or would you like the actual thing to be written off?
I'm looking for anyone. If there's anyone there who has the ability to turn into a giant battle axe.
As you look around on the board itself, there's nothing that actually explicitly states such.
Right. As I noticed that, I just go, not good enough for the museum, are you? Fucking bitch. And then I just wander. I'm just going to wander around the exhibits and have a look.
In your looking, you do find villains, supervillains, Zeta Max prisoners / Zeta Max villains, and hero killers. That's the main sort of thing that you get. Obviously, you do get a few names under there, but again, no one that specifically. It doesn't state any powers that they have.
Right.
I'm going to go up to the Blade exhibit.
Yeah, as you go off to the Hero Killers museum, just off here, you notice that there's only one person looking in there. As you look around, there's 3 Hero Killers. Hero Killer Blade, aka the mercenary with 1,000 blades. I mean, it's not exactly a invention.
Good.
Yeah, it's not exactly a good name, but you then see Hero Killer Otis Slayer, aka Jern, and then Hero Killer Pyromandra. These are the only 3 hero killers that are explicitly stated, but they all get their own wax models, pictures, and even small videos that are constantly on loop in their backgrounds. Again, these are behind glass cases, but they have roughly what you can either believe as actual replicas or the real things in the actual forms of their costumes. As you go off to Hero Killer Blade, you can see the costume that he wore was quite light attire. Cargo trousers, special boots, a tank top, and a ton of different bandoliers and a ton of different bits and pieces of equipment, including a seemingly strange scarf that was not only wrapped around his neck, but there was also 2 very identical, similar to that, wrapped around his wrists. As well as a few other bits and pieces, it seems as though most of his attire was covered in his bandoliers, sheaths, and scabbards for bladed-based weapons. It is very obvious to see that that this costume is a real-life interpretation of the costume, if not the actual costume itself. But on top of this, there is a mask. It seems a pretty simple black mask that would only go around the eyes. Other than that, in the actual costume itself, it also shows you that he had large, messy hair, or in a couple of other forms, as it shows pictures of him, he would have short hair or very scruffy beard. He had apparently been covered in scars in his later forms of whenever he showed up. It states that he was a mercenary, and he worked for the Mercenaries Guild for a long time, up until he then eventually killed quite a few different heroes, multiple of them in his assassination missions. Eventually, he went up against Viribus, where his ribcage was shattered. 2 years after that, he was eventually captured and sentenced in prison, where he is now currently unknown as to whether or not he is still alive. Most people are under the belief that he's still there, but information is still rather scarce about him.
All right. I just sort of look at him with contempt, and then move on to the others, sort of reading about each one of them.
Blitzcannon, you're sort of looking at him. Look at this. It's kind of very obvious that Arsenal is sort of almost, either
In
reminiscing,
awe.
either reminiscing or in awe of exactly what he's looking at here, or at least to this, or even more shockingly, somewhat intrigued or interested by this, considering that Arsenal seems very uninterested in almost everything.
Except drugs.
Yes. Do you continue looking at the other hero killers?
I do.
You see Jern as he is basically a large, tall, muscular, bald man. Very little to actually anticipate about this guy. Again, basically, he seemed to wear pretty much shorts, and again, just a small sort of top. Almost like as if he would actually be wearing basically like shorts and like some kind of Hawaiian-esque t-shirt. Apparently stated that like a lot of his shirts would actually be a lot bigger than he actually would himself, which would be quite difficult due to the fact that this man was 6 foot tall, rather stocky, and rather large in the terms of his muscles. The one thing that people noticed, though, is that he had some kind of spatial ability that allowed him to physically harm any of those, even with a special physical durability or resistance or even immunity. Because of this, he got the upper hand against a hero known as Odin, which is where he got the title Odin Slayer. Eventually, he stole the legendary weapon, also known as... I've got it here. Storm Echo, which eventually was again taken into custody after he was defeated by a few heroes 2 years back. However, he was able to escape. Nobody knows where his current whereabouts, or even if he is even still alive. But he is only known for one hero kill. He has badly injured and maimed other heroes and ended their careers.
I then look at the Pyro.
Pyromandra used to be a hero. She was known as Angela of Fire. Eventually, when she was supposed to be going to a wedding, the entire place caught on fire and detonated. 2 very specific ways as to how her powers work. Pyromandra is an anomaly that has the ability of explosion manipulation, also known as combustion manipulation, allowing any object that she touches to suddenly combust and explode, as well as pyrokinesis. Anything that her flames are hit by are suddenly able to turn into bombs that then explode. Anything that she turns into a bomb can also explode with fire. There seems to be limitations to exactly what she can do, but ultimately she was eventually sentenced for her crimes, but eventually escaped just before she was supposed to be taken to the Zeta-Max prison. It is unknown of her whereabouts, however, the building of which that she detonated for her wedding contained many heroes, meaning that she has the highest kill count with up to 30 different heroes and sidekicks inside that building, none of which survived.
Okay. Blitzcan, you may, as I'm walking around the other 2, you notice that I'm giving them less attention as I need. And then I'm just going to walk out and continue looking at other things.
All right. I would also like to sort of, since Arsenal seems to have found something other than drugs and murder that interests him.
Yes.
I'm going to take a look. Let's see, what were the other categories again?
So
there was the Zeta-Max, and
there's normal villains, super villains, and then obviously, as I said before, there are the hero killers.
Right. So let's take a look first at the normal villains.
As you sort of go off here, there's just a list of ton of them, just like pictures and stuff like that. Very little, like sort of like little is needed to know about any of these villains, etc., etc. As it goes on, it actually just explains all of the different sort of whereabouts as to what they believe, where they may or may not be, as to exactly who they are, what they do, what kind of powers they have. But the main few things that you actually get to know about is as such. It is led to believe that Dr. Spectro, an electrokinetic user, was actually the reason for a lot of different people disappearing, as due to the fact that he was obsessed with blood transfusion and exactly how the blood of superhumans affects the real world. He took many people and created a drug known as Overdrive. Eventually, the drug was used to kick it up a notch and force people's powers to level up. However, sometimes the experimentations would go wrong and force them to go into a retentive state where sometimes either their mind or parts of their bodies would actually be atrophied. Sometimes there would be people that got away with any or zero side effects that would actually be very little. In other words, meaning that if they took the drug, the side effects would be so small that it wouldn't be noticeable, or there wouldn't be any at all. But they could be as bad as actually causing a serious organ failure, meaning that a single organ would fail and then the entire body would just shut down. Spectro eventually was defeated by a woman who would previously become a knight, known as the Hydro Dragon. She would eventually defeat him and cause him great damage. His electrokinesis is now limited as there are shrapnel inside of his body that actually harm him if he uses too much of his own wattage output. Spectro is actually unknown as his current location, but he is nowhere near the pure menace he used to be. There are other villains, such as the Draco family, or the Del Roman family, such as Lupin Del Roman and Fendrix Del Roman. Fendrix Del Roman was a man who could turn into a phoenix, and he was home and pretty much the don of the Del Roman crime boss, the crime family. The Del Roman crime family then was passed down to Lupin, who had the ability to transform into not only a wolf, but a werewolf. On top of these different things, they all use their abilities to pretty much rule over crime organizations in Iris City for a long time, over the span of the last 35 years. As you go on further, you see one last one that sort of catches your eye, as there is a man known as the Darkest Assassin. The specific villain is known just simply as... Actually, I have to read this guy's... There we go. Okay, simply just known as Barry Boyle. He was a hand-to-hand combat expert as well as a martial arts combat expert in multiple forms of weaponry. However, despite this and being considered a killer of multiple different accounts of murder as well as GBH and manslaughter, this man has 0 powers and is now considered to be a Zeta-Max prisoner. Despite this, he has been given the name the Darkest Killer because that he's still so efficient with his ways of killing that he will do it in any means and any manners. He has done this without any reason or any actual prior engagement to any particular people who would have paid him. The only thing that he said before his eventual sentencing was, "Hopefully I will find someone who can challenge me there." It is led to believe that when he means there, he meant the Zeta-Max prison.
Okay, well, that sounds like someone we know.
Do I recognize anyone on that list?
Roll world knowledge.
Oh, hang on, I gotta go back. I'm looking at the wrong thing.
That's alright.
Okay, to roll.
No,
Mind.
with a 9, you do not recognize any of these chump change villains. There are
Okay.
many others, but none of them really sort of catch your eye.
Okay, I wander on to the next supervillains then.
As you go off to the supervillains, you actually notice a few different ones, a few familiar faces. As Blitzcannon, you notice Pestilence. As not only is he named as a Zeta-Max prisoner, but he is also known as a supervillain due to the fact that, as it says, he's the only man who has ever been able to escape the Zeta-Max prison. Pestilence had the ability of a power that he calls Pestilence. Both the ability of spatial and decay, anything that his decaying space touches, it causes it to rot, rust, or disintegrate. He also has the ability to erase space from existence. Due to this, he was able to destroy an entire factory and a large portion of a town within it on his own. He was eventually defeated by a man named Royal Knight Arthur. However, 2 years ago, he escaped from the Zeta-Max prison. No one knows how. On top of that, you then see a large power armor suit, as it's then stated next to it, Celerity, a speedster-type villain who worked for Draco Del Roman, a crime family specifically based off, pretty much, doing anything they can to get their hands on money through drugs, weapons, and any other types of trade that they can get their hands on. Celerity was the right-hand woman to Draco, as she used her speed to be able to go anywhere in the entire city. The power armor suit was specifically designed and devised to have as little friction as possible, using a special type of shaped alloys along with animite. Whoever designed this is still out there, as nobody truly knows who the engineer was. The only thing that is really known about Celerity is that she had the ability to manipulate speed, not just her own. Because of this, she could slow other people down and cause them to die. Thanks to the suit, it has two different blade-type weapons. One, some kind of sword, and another was a chunk of animite that would actually also have a small pipette inside of it that would absorb blood from her victims, allowing her to store any samples for any particular reasons which are still yet unknown. On top of this, you are also seeing a few other bits and pieces as you see the Zeta Max prisoners. We'll now go back to some of the others. So I will just quickly overwrite this. There we go. And then we'll go back to this. So,
Boing.
Talos and Vale. You're currently having a look around, as you said, looking around, trying not to get bored, but obviously you're looking at things to eventually create and gain boredom. So, as you're looking around, you find the sidekicks. You see just a small...
Is there any interactive?
Yeah, there are
the interactive exhibits.
There are a few. Well, to be fair, you don't see any interactive exhibits other than there are buttons that then play audio logs.
Aw.
Random documents and audio logs.
This is a very bad museum. It's a hero museum and there's no interactivity.
Do you have
deserves to be blown up?
Do you wish to have a look at the? Do you wish to actually have a look at the actual brochure again? Sorry, I couldn't remember the word there.
Brochure again?
Did you
Brochure
want to
again.
brochure? Would you like to read the brochure again?
The brochure.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take
The
a
brochure.
quick look. Then mostly I'm just looking at the actual costumes and the gadgets on display. Because I think that's the things I'd rather be stealing than
Yeah, fair enough. The main thing that you see is the sidekick Flicker. You see a sidekick. I'm actually now trying to have a look. I've got this whole thing just written out. There we go. So you see Flicker, and it says R.I.P. next to it, as Flicker was once the sidekick to ASAP, one of the top 10 heroes. However, he was killed by Hero Killer Blade. Supposedly, a rookie speedster was eventually defeated by him, and eventually, due to his battle wounds, he succumbed to them and passed away. You see his suit, as it states that the suit itself is the only thing that was remaining of him. You can gather pretty darn quickly with your own eyes that it must very well be the suit that he died in, because there are holes that look like actual blade entry points. Some of which are still stained with a little bit of blood. You then look over to a couple of other sidekicks, and pretty much a lot of them are fairly oddly barren. You actually have Ghost, a supposed sidekick to Daybreak, the son of Solace Soul, also known as Shade Soul. You then see next to that is then... I'm just now reading this. There we go. Oh yeah. Next to this, you then have Luscious Lad. Yes, that is actually this kid's name. Luscious Lad was also known as a fighter. He is a Omegan known as a Titan Child. He believes himself to be a beautiful demigod and helps out alongside certain heroes. He is the sidekick to a hero known as the Musician. However, he goes off on his own to help and become a sidekick to other heroes. He has tried many times to work alongside Viribus, however, to no avail. He usually wears some kind of a toga, and it then states this is a replica, as he has only ever had one costume. He fights with hand-to-hand combat, is fairly fast, fairly durable, and fairly strong. It seems as though there are not much more, as you only find one other sidekick. A sidekick known as Paul. Much is known about most heroes and sidekicks, however this sidekick is even less. He came and he went with zero information other than he went with his name and helped multiple heroes over the time of which that he was attempting to help them. A character or a being with healing factor.
What's his name?
Paul.
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 Sorry, I'm just gonna. Okay, people don't know this, but I'm actually staying with a guy called Paul, and I'm a little suspicious right now. I'm a little suspicious right now. He's like, I'll ask him later whether it's a secret identity.
Either way, the only thing that is known about him is that he used to work at a place known as the Drunken Slug as a bartender, however eventually leaving that and went on to become a multi-weapon user. Eventually, he went off and just became a sidekick to any hero. Due to the fact that his ability allows him to heal, he pretty much is just pretty much able to do whatever he needs to. After that, it pretty much ends there in the terms of the sidekicks. Again, costumes galore, but not many things. You see a couple of weapons here, there, and everywhere. Swords, basic pistols, daggers, a nunchuck.
I believe I have acquired boredom.
You and me both.
Can we do something now?
The others first and see if they find anything useful.
As we come back to two of the others, Bones and Toxie, where are you going off next?
We were going to the little side thing that we didn't explore, did we? Or where were we going initially?
I have no idea.
As you guys leave, knowing exactly where you want to go and immediately forgetting, you start stumbling around, not really knowing exactly where you're going or where you're heading to. Both of you, roll me perception.
Okay.
Okay, one second. Let me find my perception.
All right, where is my perception? D20. Nope, that's not a D20 plus.
Perception. 13 for the Bone Boy. And
natural one for me.
You notice nothing, however, Bartholomew, you see something that's kind of sort of caught your eye, other than the fact that you've noticed that a few families are staring at you and a couple of children looking very scared. You do notice something, and it says something, the Royal Knights, or as it says, the Knights of the People, or Knights for the People.
So there are the medieval things in this museum.
I'm so bored. Is there anything that we can steal or wreck or take pictures of? We're taking pictures.
I don't know. We could go out for ice cream later. I can't have ice cream, but
I guess so. Let's go to the. I don't know. Let's go to the night thing, I guess.
As you go off there, you do notice that there's quite a lot of people there just standing. As I said, these people are sort of staring as they sort of move away when they notice you. These lot don't notice you at all. However, as you go over there, you see that there is 6 different, fairly lifelike looking, again, wax figurines. All of them are of different sort of sizes and shapes. As there are 5 that are named as different serpents or dragons. Each one meaning a different element: fire, water, wind, earth, and lightning. Finally, there is just one who is clad in this golden-looking attire holding a sword that is beautiful with a gold hilt and pommel, but the blade itself is covered in some strange sort of waves and ripples throughout it, all looking purple, except from the actual blade itself is shining silver. The man has a very large blonde beard and large sort of blonde hair with a golden crown above his head.
I'll take a picture of this guy.
Yeah, I didn't bring a camera, so all the pictures are up to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. You don't have a phone, do you? So.
I mean, I kind of do. It's not a touch phone.
Claims that this man is known as Royal Knight Arthur, and the sword is known as Excalibur Gwyn, a woman who can turn into a sword that can cut through space itself. These two were the reason as to the defeat of Pestilence. Apparently, Arthur is a human, but wields a weapon of the ancient beings of the old kind, known as willpower. It is considered to not be truly known as an actual weapon. But tell that to those who have tasted defeat by the hand and the blade of Arthur himself, as the audio log states. He has been a hero or a vigilante for the last 10 years, but sealed away the largest monster in the world and became a knight and was the very first of the knights of the government. Because of this, Arthur started something, and they claimed him to be Royal Knight Arthur, as he is the king of the knights.
All right, all right. We gotta mess with this guy's exhibit.
Do we have spray paint?
I can already mentally picture how Toxie is going to mess with it. Just get out like some permanent marker and draw like devil horns and a frowny face on Royal Knight Arthur.
You know,
Yeah, just like a speech bubble on the wall that says I'm stinky with stink lines all over.
aren't these all wax figures?
Yes, they are.
We could mess with the AC a bit.
Can we? Yes.
Just then notice someone in front of you turning around and is like, "Excuse me?"
What?
We're just kidding around. Don't worry.
They sort of like move away, sort of like shuffle away over to the corner as they sort of like still like keep looking back at you every now and again, but then just start staring at one of the dragons as they are claimed.
The goddamn are any of them actual dragons, or like are they just all metaphorical?
It seems as though as you look at any of them, none of them actually claim that any of their abilities are to turn into or are physically appearing as a dragon. They all have elemental abilities, as you read all of them, and they seem pretty darn simple, to be honest. It doesn't seem like any of them have any real difference or change in actually who they are. I'm actually currently trying to find what exactly their... There we go. Okay, there we go. As you look at all of them, it just goes pyrokinesis for the fire dragon, for the wind dragon, aerokinesis, terrakinesis for the earth dragon, hydrokinesis for the water dragon, living lightning, monarch of the storm for the lightning dragon. Each one of them wields a different type of weapon, and they wear ceremonial armor. However, some of them also have specialized costumes, but the armor is also apparently specially built, as it shows them in their special ceremonial armor in this particular exhibit, along with their special type of weapon. The water dragon has a special curved sword that can manipulate itself just like water. The lightning dragon has a large jute, which he uses for blunt-based attacks. The wind dragon has two separate types of katana, one made out of mineral and the other is so thin that it is considerably almost invisible. You then have the Fire Dragon, who wields a great sword, and the Earth Dragon, who wields a sword made out of a strange volcanic rock that is known as the Obsidian Blade.
Are they all replica swords, these ones?
They seem to look like them because it does also state that the weapons are still currently being in use by all of the different dragons. So it would seem as though these exhibits, or at least specifically the exhibits of any of the current living people that have not retired their items of clothing, may be very well replicas.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that we've seen all we can see from that, but you know, this is like putting it on my reminder sheet. You know, trash these these waxworks somehow.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we come back to Talos and Vale, as the two of you have now just like gone off, you have sort of met up with Toxie and Bartholomew as you've seen them. As we move back on over to
The second floor.
The second floor, exactly. There we go. Boosh. As you two have had a look at the villains, and you're starting to have a look at the Zeta Max villains, as you see, Barry Boyle made it in the cut again, as he is apparently not only currently in the Zeta Max prison, which is unheard of for most humans to do without any special particular reasons, he is known as the Master of Multiple Martial Arts. The other supervillains that surround him in the terms of that are Pestilence, who was once but then later escaped. There is then just a creature apparently who lived in Girison and was eventually captured by Arthur, known as just Demon. And finally there was Calamity. Calamity was supposedly a human who mastered all forms of special, specifically called and quoted on the actual plaque, mythical, or believed to be mythical, ability known as willpower. One's will can be considerably manifested through resisting psychic attacks, or even just resisting one's own urges. But if those who have the ability to understand the ancient arts, they can potentially wield and harness willpower as a form of defense or offense. Calamity mastered all three forms of the mind, spirit, and body, and was one of the only who was able to truly defeat those of special abilities and powers, regardless of the fact that he had none.
Yeah, I'm not really bothered by these ones now. I'm back to my usual, like, not really caring anymore. Looking to the exit.
Back to babysitting.
Fair enough. The only thing that I will say is that, like, despite the fact that they actually show Pestilence's costume on a rack rather than actually showing his like a wax figure, it is like it is a suit, but there's like very large blade slashes through it. Like the suit is ruined, with also bloodstains in and on it. Barry Boyle's particular things are just a normal sort of like turtleneck sweater and sort of almost like suit pants with special like suit shoes. However, they have little blades sticking out of the tips of the shoes. On top of which, it then has an entire smorgasbord of different weapons: nunchucks, throwing needles, switchblade, 3-segmented staff, a concealed blade, aka a wrist blade, like a hidden blade, shurikens, throwing knives, all sorts of different types of weapons that this guy had used. Knives and swords, nunchucks, even a rope with a dart at the end. There is nothing that this guy wouldn't use or wouldn't wield. As you start sort of feeling your interest eventually wane, you start moving off and meandering around again.
At this point, I've lost all real interest, so I'm heading back to the elevator.
Fair enough. What about you, Blitzcannon?
Is there anyone else left to look at?
Yes, there is there is one specific one. The other parts of the supervillains, as there is a huge exhibit here that neither of you have gone in yet.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought we'd seen everything. Okay. So yeah, well, can we go? We'll go there then.
As you go in,
So,
this is practically the worst of the worst. The Hall of Shame, they call it. As they show, as explicitly stated beforehand, Dr. Spectro. They show a few bits and pieces from a few other different villains, but the actual biggest parts are pretty much the big three of villainy of over the last 30 years. Lord, aka the first villain of Iris City. They then show... I'm now just having to look at it. Again, there's a huge note that I've got here. So they show Lord, they show... damn it. Where are you? Ah! I write notes down, and there's so many notes. I'm just trying to find them. Ah, there we go. Okay. So they show Lord, and they basically show this one specific creature. The best way to describe it is that this wax model isn't a wax model. It's, in fact, instead, just pretty much a hologram. As they put, it's clear that they put a lot of time onto this, as it's sort of almost shown as an actual hologram of a large sort of black skinned, ebony, dark black skin, large horns and glowing red eyes, 4 arms, and pretty much huge wings. This creature is specifically what people stated was known as Demon, a creature that 5 years ago appeared and Arthur had to defeat. Eventually, he was captured and thrown into the Zeta-Max prison, but not before claiming the lives of over 100 citizens and killing several villains. It seems as though his incredible speed, strength, and ferocity were not even the only thing, as people found his victims shriveled husks. And finally, the last one, which has so far gone as an unnamed person. It is not really truly known as who exactly or what exactly it is, but there was a phenomenon where a specific person was seen. They claim that it was a woman in very overly baggy clothing, as in a very large white t-shirt that was pretty much big enough to be a nightgown. Very small and very thin, standing no taller than 5'5", large, long hair, and rather scruffy particular look. The only particular people that have ever called out her name have been unaware as to exactly why they've stated her name as such. A lot of people consider her to be known as the Shaking Girl. Some people call her the strongest woman alive, as the reason behind this is that whenever anyone has seen her, large amounts of physical destruction awake, as her name has only been stated as such. As it then shows a video, it is then stated that this video is over 3 years old, and a large explosion is seen as an entire train is derailed. On top of the train that has just been completely flung off of the rails, gets out this exact woman. She then screams at the top of her lungs, "I will not be captured. I am not as weak as the rest of you." A multitude of heroes spring into action, including ASAP, who teleports behind her. As he attempts to grab her, she lets out a large explosion of what seems to be a huge shockwave, almost as if she was a living grenade. As he and others are flung back, she then points her finger up at the sky and claims this: "I am the strongest woman alive. No creature will ever beat me. I am Shiki. Hear me now. As she then leaps up into the sky and is supposedly not seen again for anywhere near up to a year. No one has ever been able to capture her, and she has never gone face to face against Viribus. The closest people who have ever actually put up a fight to him are apparently shown downstairs. One particular name is mentioned here, though. It is quite possible that she might have similar powers to the villain known as Thomas Kraut.
Okay. Can I roll world knowledge to recognize the name?
You can both roll history to see if you guys were paying attention when you were reading through.
I wasn't, so I'm not going to roll.
Okay, roll history, Blitzcannon.
Okay.
Absolutely, with with an 18.
Big brain time.
Thomas Kraut was basically a ruffian kid wearing some kind of a hoodie and a strange, weird-looking sort of half rabbit mask. He called and screamed his name out as Thomas Kraut or Tom Kraut, and he was destroying a large part of downtown about 2-3 years ago. Viribus then fought him, and this weedy-looking kid took every single hit that Viribus had to offer. This dude would not go down, and I mean everyone watched this fight. He was taking hits left, right, and centre, and it seemed as though nothing that Viribus could do to him could even do anything. It was later found out that he had some kind of kinetic stockpiling power that allowed him to absorb every single blow and be completely immune to it, and then be able to dish it back out. He could store multiple hits at once.
Black Panther suit.
Pretty much, yes, except from he can actually control when it comes out. However, eventually Viribus landed one decent hit that for some reason he couldn't absorb the impact from. Upon doing so, he was knocked out and thrown in jail, but apparently he was broken out of later. It's been unknown to see whether or not he could actually be out and about or whatever. But if that's true, it is supposedly believed that Shiki has similar powers to Thomas Kraut. Supposedly, the only person who has given Viribus a really hard time in the public eye that has actually been basically viral videoed to death. Like, everyone has seen this video, or at least a large portion of the world has seen this video. So, with that information, you guys are pretty much done, as you've dried up the wells, as you head off downstairs. As we will now go back
as we head downstairs, Blitzcannon, you notice me glance at Blade again with that look of contempt.
Okay.
Contempt, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I'm going to wait until we get out of here before saying anything about it.
You both get into the elevator, and you know that, again, no one is in the elevator with you, just like last time. As it starts going down...
As it starts going down, actually, I would like to say, so, you got something against Blade?
What are you talking about?
I saw the way you were looking at the statue.
There weren't no statue. It's fine.
Or was it a statue?
It definitely was. Yeah, it was a wax statue.
That was it. Oh, I thought it was just...
I'm not going insane.
I thought it was just his outfit.
Oh no, it was wearing his actual real outfit. Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm just like, what? No, I'm just. Why are we here?
Casing the place out, getting information as well. Seems like that Shiki person isn't super well known about, so
I don't really care. So we're stealing.
We also learned a bit. Well, we might be stealing some stuff. Maybe some of those genuine outfits. Also, just sort of, showing that this monument to hero kind is fallible. But what I think is most important that we've learned today is
although we've managed to get today, I should say, is the information.
Right.
So,
The elevator hits the ground
I'll
and
stop
then
talking.
opens the doors as you both leave.
I walk out like as soon as it's open to sort
Okay.
of.
As that's going on, you guys, whilst they've been doing this, you guys have finally met up, and Toxie and Bones, it's like, you know, you two have just sort of noticed like a grim look of just like obvious boredom, like on Talos's face, like almost like as if he's like just suddenly hit that sort of like attitude of a teenager, like on his face, like, and he doesn't even notice it.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, I feel you, buddy. Seems like this place is kind of a rip.
The Veil has a very similar expression on his face, but more reserved annoyance, boredom.
I wouldn't quite say that. At least
You
not
guys
for
haven't met
us.
up just yet. This is just during the time that you guys were supposed to.
Okay.
Is there any place that we haven't explored yet?
Absolutely,
In the,
there's still other things like the superheroes in the top 10.
Yeah, I guess we could go in there and stuff. Let's see where the other guys, they went in the elevator. We'll just maybe wait for them.
As you guys head off and have a look around, you notice the top 10 heroes. Every single one of them, including a couple of the previous one. Rest in peace, Odin, and then there's also the first hero. So there's basically 12 different heroes to have a look at.
Is there anything cool on them, or is it just more replica costumes that we don't want?
As a matter of fact, I shall show you here. So, in the hero exhibits, you see the first hero, Origin, a replica of his shirt and trousers, and even basically they've got like some kind of special effect coming out of the wax replica's eyes, like two little smoke machines showing off, and then basically they're like glowing the steam that's coming out of his eyes blue to try and gain that similar effect. As they state, they can show no footage of this guy, but he was the first person to be considered a hero. He never actually gave his name, and he actually never gave a hero name, but he was just claimed as the Origin, as in the first ever hero.
Just a wax statue then with some clothing on it?
Pretty much, yes. However, as you go through, you notice Thermite and Odin. Thermite, you see a costume, basically sort of a long red jacket, a small little red hat, and basically a bag that supposedly used to carry small objects that the user could then pretty much detonate and send out in great amounts of volume of fire. And Odin...
Look real, or...
it looks like a real leather bag, and looks like a real
Does
costume.
it look like it's been like a real, or does it look like a replica of the costume?
It looks fairly real, yeah.
Ooh.
That's still worthy then.
How would you know? Are you a tailor?
I mean, you can tell vaguely if it's like torn and been used.
Yes,
I mean,
but
I
they-
just want to put that out. You don't know whether or not it's torn or been used, but you definitely know that it definitely looks like as if it's real. Like, it's actual... Like, basically, it's like, oh, this was a leather jacket worn by blah, 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 or, you know, a leather trench coat worn by blah, blah, blah. Definitely looks like a leather trench coat. It's exactly the same colours, so it could very well be real. And the same as the bag.
I will point out...
Does it look like it's new?
You would have to roll an intelligence or an insight, or tailoring if you have it. I'm assuming that none of you actually have tailoring, so I'll just go based off of that. I'm assuming that my internet's just cut out. Oh dear. Discord is being very awesome today.
Hey,
There
everybody.
we go.
No.
There we go. That was
Is the recording intact?
Yeah, it's still recording. It was just recording me. But yeah, that's fine because can still do that. Right, there we go.
Let's connect from lobby server.
That's fine.
Oh, hello. Oh, whoopsie. I know, I had that a bit earlier. Well,
Can I roll insight to see if any of this is actually valuable?
I was going to say that, like, obviously, if you want to know whether or not it's real or fake, you'll have to just like roll insight or intelligence, or tailoring.
Yeah, I'll roll insight.
Okay.
A 16.
Oh, Tal's got 18 though.
Okay, so what is your particular role? Is that insight, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay, and Sam, what's yours? Intelligence or insight?
Mine's intelligence because my insight is -2.
Okay, well, we'll come to the 18 first. So
Aren't you supposed to be a streetwise drug dealer?
Yeah, but you know.
Talos, you can actually see
wise.
that it's definitely real. You can see that there's not that much damage on it, but based on what you've sort of read here, it might very well still be possible that it's just a retired costume. As it states that she's disappeared, and they've also put potentially dead, and then just in brackets RIP. But you're still not 100% as to whether or not thermite itself was actually something that she had made up. But this costume seems like as if it still has some wear to it, not necessarily tear, but some wear. Like she's actually worn this, and it was actually used. Whereas, like Sam, you're looking at this as like, I mean, potentially it could be. I mean, it makes sense that they'd actually have this. If she went missing and they were able to get it, it makes sense that they would have it. But if she went missing, there's also a possibility that she went missing with it. But it doesn't tell you exactly how they got their hands on the costume. As for the others, you notice this. So
Yeah.
So, Blitzcannon and Arsenal, you finally come out. And you just notice them, like, they're just having a look around. Like, just in between the sort of hallway.
Didn't Alex nudge me?
Yeah, I'm a nudge you actually. I'm nudging
I just
Vale.
remembered you did that.
I'm
Yeah,
not.
I'm
I'm not going to meet up with everyone. I'm going to leave.
As a kid.
I have no interest in this floor whatsoever.
Okay, well, you go out and you'll be going out through the the gift shop as there's a ton of people just in there, so I'll just put you there.
Alright.
Yeah. I'm literally just like still nudging Vale.
Is it, kid?
Well, I just thought of something actually. See, it's even if this may not be such a bust after.
Remember, there's lots of people around.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'll talk to you about it in the car.
So, basically, as you guys
Okay.
have a look around, you see Viribus, and there's like 3 dolls that like are holding costumes. Golden Age, Silver Age, and I have to actually find this one. Yeah, so there's his Golden Age costume, which is basically Viribus normally wears a blue suit with a large gold V down it. But this one's actually a red suit with a blue V and an actual like yellow cape. This other costume though is another retired costume. The Justice Squad armor. There used to be an actual team called the Justice Squad. Viribus, when he's first cutting his teeth on becoming a hero, he joined them, and he wore this massive battle armor. The armor itself is made of buron, which is the heaviest metal on the planet, and it used to defend him a lot. Due to his massive strength, he was able to move around it quite easily. This is 100% definitively metal. That is not wax whatsoever. You also then see a hologram of Solace, and basically there's like no actual like info on anything other than just like, well, as in there's no physical objects to do with Daybreak himself. It just shows a man made of fire in a tuxedo, and that's pretty much it. You then have Odin.
I guess time to leave.
Who died. It states like his sort of like almost Viking costume, which again seems pretty real. As there is actually like a fair amount of blood still on it. And then next to that is basically an axe with also a hammer at the back, or a hammer with an axe on the back of it, known as the Storm Echo Hammer. Again, a big-ass hammer. As you sort of have a look around and you're starting to finish up, you see like old costumes from some of the top 10. As I said before, Viribus, Daybreak. And then you see ASAP, his costume, his old Friction costume. You see Babylon's yellow costume. She's not part of the top 10, but you just notice that as you're sort of like leaving. As you sort of start to wander out. As you then all sort of like get to the gift shop, I'm going to say, Arsenal, did you just straight up walk out?
Yep.
Okay. You guys are now at the gift shop. Now, I want to point out that there's this tiny little room here, which is also like a small gift shop as well, but there's also like a long area here, which is also just like got a couple of tills before you actually get to the main exit. Do any of you stick around, or do you guys leave? Hello? I think my internet keeps cacking out. Ooh, oh dear. Yes, I am disconnecting a lot. Oh dear. Right, hang on a second. That should set it up. And this should get it back and restored. That is not working. Okay, right, we'll go back to this. And we shall try and reload Discord. Sorry for those who are watching this. This is not good. I don't know why exactly. It's Discord is just not reliable at the moment, and yeah, it's just not good. Oh dear. I think that's why they actually had a few issues beforehand, where they were saying things and they were just letting me go on, because normally they would actually have something to say about that. Yeah, that's not working for some reason. Darn you, OBS. I'm assuming that I'm going to have to stop the stream, unless if it can actually kick back in. There we go, and then I'll...
Yeah.
He's back.
There we go.
He's back.
Okay.
Hey,
there
we go.
Okay. I just had to keep talking during this recording. I don't know if anyone else records these sessions, but yeah,
I don't.
This was not good. Anyway, I've come off the tabletop simulator. I'm not too sure what has just killed the I'm not entirely sure what has actually just killed the stream multiple times, but thankfully I do have the full recording. Although it will just sound like me talking for quite a while, and then just like, oh, everyone's gone, and then me just sat in silence, just trying to fix what's gone on, and complaining about Discord. Okay, so you guys, I'm assuming that you heard nothing, so I'm just gonna say, you saw some stuff in the terms of the top 10 heroes. Some stuff was actually physical stuff, weapons, armor, costumes. Daybreak, on the other hand, he was the only one that actually just had a pure hologram. There was no physical stuff from Daybreak.
We did hear that.
Yeah, we heard up to where we got into the others going to the gift shop.
Oh, okay, that's all right.
Then we asked what was in the gift shop.
Pretty much there's two separate rooms. There's one that's actually a small room that has sort of like basically like kids' toys and stuff like that. But the actual main room that sort of allows you to leave t-shirts, fake versions of like the costumes, like on these big cases that are like worth like tens of thousands. And then like there's actual like onesies versions of all of the different costumes. It's like, become a villain, ha ha ha, or dress up like your favorite hero. Different gadgets and toys and stuff like that. No, there is none of you. No.
Well, we're not famous yet.
I wasn't gonna plush toy of the veil.
You're telling me that there is not a single skeleton costume in this establishment?
This is an outrage.
It's a museum, not a fancy dress shop.
terrible.
Either way,
I
do you wish to have a look around, or do you just wish to get out as well? Is there anything that you wish to have?
Well,
a look at?
I am
this-
making a note of those onesies as well. I'm just
Okay.
like taking your picture and stuff. And it's like
I'm gonna say, I guess
Well,
all
I know-
of you
you
roll
know,
me a perception. Unless if like none of you are
Alright.
actually gonna have a look around.
Natural 20.
Nice.
With a mix, so I take it then there is no
perception.
plus choice of me then.
No.
I leave huffily. No, I leave dignifiedly, but with a
The main
no.
things that you
One
notice,
day.
Vale is just like a ton of different stuff, but one particular thing that actually catches your eye is as you're leaving, you notice that there's a very interesting piece on like as it's sort of like going out, like you actually missed one last thing, which was actually like the new piece that is actually coming later today. Like it's actually being brought in today. As it says, the new piece is being brought in about tales of heroes and villains like out of the country amongst the world. As it then states, like a small little design, as it says, check out all of the different villains and heroes throughout the ages, all throughout the world, war heroes and so on and so forth. But the biggest ones are the villains, pirates, as well as heroes of a few, basically like the all-stars of heroes in other countries, such as the Land of the Sunken Moon, Hasconia, and even the illustrious as well as very concealed Eden. As it tells you about all the different countries throughout the world, there's a few that catch your eye.
Okay. Okay then. I know there's more displays that I will probably destroy later on tonight whenever I return here, and I will leave.
Fair enough.
That knowledge in hand.
The displays probably won't even have been set up, so it'll be pretty easy to steal them.
Exactly.
As you leave and the rest of the others leave, I'm going to say, Bartholomew, you see the thing that states about like other people such as pirates and all this other lot. One particular thing is that you see like an exhibit explaining who the anthropial pirates are. And the anthropial part sort of catches your eye, as that's what someone claimed you to be, a bone anthropial. Blitzcannon, you also notice the thing as well as Toxie, but you don't notice or care about or any names or particular other things like that. You just, oh, okay, so there's another couple of exhibits actually coming today.
So like, yeah, I don't see the anthropial pirates, and I'm like, or anything, just sort of like, there's more coming. We'll get them later.
As you leave, you then meet up with Arsenal, who I assume is just that, like, basically waiting outside.
Yeah.
As you all meet up, it is now become apparent that everyone is sort of anxious to know exactly what it is that Vale really wanted to get out of this.
And I think it was pretty obvious why I wanted to get out of this.
Well, they're all waiting to see what you say.
We have the layout. We know where everything is, so we can do this very quickly.
Couldn't you have just asked for that before we went in, rather than spending so long wandering around?
That's what you do when you case a place.
What do you think the brochure is for?
But now we know where everything is, and we know how far, you know. You didn't just go in, take a brochure, and become immediately suspicious.
I would say that we definitely, having the time to go around, look at the exhibits, all that, that's not something we would have been able to do if we were,
Yeah.
Hey.
We know what's real and what's not.
But that, and also, more importantly, I know you guys didn't go up to the villains level, but we managed to learn a little bit about 2 of the 4 horsemen. So we know a bit more about our employers, and I'll fill them in basically on what we learned about Pestilence and
Actually, is Calamity one of the four horsemen?
Calamity is not one of the four horsemen, no,
Okay,
but he
then
is
just Pestilence.
like Pestilence. He is one of the Zeta Max prisoners.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll say we learned a bit about our boss. Fill him in on what we know now about Pestilence, and I will also say it looked like there were quite a few villain outfits and the like that were definitely real. They were
Very nice.
scavenged
Including
from
Pestilence?
defeated. Did Pestilence's one look real?
Oh yeah, it was very heavily damaged, but that was obvious that they
Yeah.
didn't fake it.
Yeah.
There's blood on it as well.
It absolutely was real. So we could
Hey,
try
even
and
if we
use it to
can't-
gain his favor. Here's your old duds.
well, even if it ain't like usable in any way, I mean, collectors are going to be probably willing to pay for quite a lot.
And the other thing is, some of them have, as far as I can tell anyway, gadgets and the like. So we might be able to reverse engineer them, repurpose them.
Some of the heroes had those as well. I don't think it was a day wasted, Talos.
Yeah, and also there's more exhibits coming tonight as well.
Also,
so,
Arsenal has some sort of grudge against Blade.
What?
Do?
What? Why?
Hero killing mercenary.
Dude, why?
I don't know, I asked him and he denied it, but it's pretty freaking obvious from the way he was glaring at the statue.
Do I know why?
That would be up to Arsenal as to whether or not you know why. Arsenal, would Vale know why you might have anything against or towards Blade?
I couldn't hear anything of what just happened. I heard up to where you were talking about Calamity and
Good old Discord. Pretty much like well, Blitzcannon, as you said. It seems as though you have a grudge against Blade, Hero Killer Blade.
I was like, fine. It's just that place is boring.
This one, would you have told me the reason why you don't like Blade?
If you know, probably not, unless you know why I hate him. So probably not.
I mean, we could always do it where you tell us a specific role requirement for history and see if he actually told you and he has to roll it.
It's more of whether he knows the history of Blade, as to whether or not.
Is this?
I guess at that
Is
point,
this to do with your brother?
More to do with the family.
I guess just roll, yeah.
Family.
Roll, and I'll tell you whether or not you understand.
10. So I probably don't.
No, you don't.
Okay.
No.
But yeah, it's kind of obvious, and even Vale, you're like, I don't even know why, but yeah, he seems to have something against it. I've never really noticed it, but I guess it kind of makes sense. And then you have to think, actually, no, it doesn't. Why do you dislike him? Like,
I'm just thinking. No, so the Veil's more thinking. Well, okay, everyone has grudges against people. That's how we do this in this job. We all hold grudges against others. Some slight slight, probably.
Fair enough.
When you're asking me what problem I have, I'm just like, I don't. It's just fucking boring in there. His knives look alright. He look nice.
Why don't we go out for some nice funnel cake before our night out on the town? I say this as a person who cannot eat.
Actually, I do have some sort of a plan, perhaps. I'm gonna, get in there and break in.
Go ahead.
Perhaps we could all get in. Like Vale's pocket dimension. He shadows into the last person that's that's locking up, and then we just stay in there, and then we take what.
I do take it we've already got back in the car and we're not having a conversation about how to break into this place. Right?
I mean, no one stated that you guys went into a car, so I just assume that you're just talking about it outside.
Loitering outside.
What do the locks look like? Could I have gotten a glimpse of those?
The doors look fairly bulky, but they are glass, and then they have seemingly those rafter things that come on down, like the shutters. They have those. So
okay, do those have keyholes? Is pretty much my only question.
Not only do they have keyholes, but again, most of those doors are glass, and then again, as I said, the shutters they don't look like as if they have keyholes, but they do seem as if they have some kind of padlock at the bottom or some bolts.
Okay.
This goes for the front doors as well, although the front doors also have giant wooden doors that go in front, sort of almost like to be a bit showy.
Right.
As I said, there are about 6 fire exits in total. So just to give you guys just a thing, there are 2 floors. There is 1 entrance, 1 exit on the ground floor. Then there is 3 ground floor fire exits and 3 top floor fire exits.
And the top floor fire exits are like directly above the bottom floor I'm guessing with a...
Yes, they have a special device that inflates that allows you to slide on down.
Plane slides.
Yes. Or barring that, they could also be used as ropes if they do not inflate.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, it is made fairly obvious. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna say Vale roll intelligence.
Okie doke.
I'm also going to say Talos roll creativity.
Well, that's a 9.
Okay. That's a 9, and let's see what the Talomeister gets.
The Talos. I'm just checking.
Hello?
I am not very creative.
Let's see. Well, first of all, you're just thinking I mean, I literally lifted a building.
Oh,
over
sure,
my head.
wait, no, that's more than a 15.
Yeah, let's just steal the building.
I can't steal a building, but that's a bit conspicuous.
No. The creativity part of this is that you were thinking, I did just recently lift a building over my head, and I was able to entirely crush it. If we wanted to destroy it, I could just destroy it like that. Or, my powers are precise enough that I can lift a car at the exact moment that someone's driving off, and tip it out, whilst opening all of the doors and any other particular locations on it, without damaging the car and tearing it apart. It's becoming very obvious to you that you could always just make the doors bend open or break or shatter them, and take anything and everything that you specifically think that you'd want, and then just leave, or throw them into the pocket dimension. In the forms of creativity, it is 100% more logical under the belief that you and Vale could do this without harming or getting anyone else in trouble.
Assuming that's all we want to take.
Assuming that's all that they want to take. But this is the idea that you have suddenly come up with in your head. It's up to you whether or not you bring this to the attention of the others or Vale.
No, I'll watch them.
Okay. The Vale, you're well, the problem is that the doors are closed. I won't be able to do anything if the doors are closed. And that's about it.
I can literally make a skeleton
However,
key.
there is a thing. As Toxie said, there is a possibility of trying to sneak in at the exact moment that someone is locking up. You'd have to time it, but if you timed it right, you could definitely do it.
Yeah. If that fails, we can always just blow the bloody doors off.
I think that was something about blowing the bloody doors off.
I'm assuming that, yes.
Yeah.
Audience,
I'm just saying if that failed, I was just saying if that stealth doesn't work, we'll just go blow the blood. walls off.
It doesn't like you saying blow the bloody doors off.
Apparently it doesn't know. But either way, yes,
Like
yes.
it. It hates me
The
saying
idea
that.
is either stealth and sneak in, or basically destroy the entire location, or obviously ripping or blowing the doors off. The only two people that actually have any ability of doing such a thing at such an easy rate so far that it has been, under the information of, is the guy who can literally lift anything and manipulate gravity, or the guy who has the ability of the dark. So stealth and destruction, you basically have either side. But as I said before, it is currently under the belief of Vale that the best idea is just to sneak in at the exact moment that someone is locking up. But to Talos, the other idea is possibly just Vale and Talos just going in together and literally just going, all right, well, we only have a few seconds, tear apart this place, take what we want, and then just basically bring the entire building down. But that's entirely up to you lot. I'll let you figure that out. Considering Talos, you haven't told them that, and Vale, you have actually got a fairly simple idea. Put everyone in the pocket dimension. Wait until the exact moment of when they're supposed to be closing. Sneak in at the exact moment that the final guy is locking up. Does anyone else?
What do we
No
have?
idea.
No, go on.
I think that's a good idea.
So what does anyone want to take a vote, or is everyone just in agreement with the Vale? Or Talos, are you going to say anything?
Well, what do we need exactly from the museum?
Everything
I'm happy with the Vale's idea.
On a roll, don't roll charisma against each other.
I mean,
I'm with
Talos hasn't even said what his idea is, so at this point he's
I
just...
haven't said my plan yet, either.
I mean, so far, your plan, as I said before, thanks to that intelligence, is pretty much just Toxie's plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things where I say my exact plan, but say
Pretty much.
I mean, yeah, that worked. It's a very good plan. I wish I thought of it.
Pretty much all I've
Yes,
contributed is the fact that I can make a skeleton key to unlock pretty much any door.
Can you actually do that?
You can make objects, so you could technically just put a finger bone in there, stretch it all
Yeah.
the way out through the key, and either break the lock, or actually figure out how exactly it's placed, and then unlock it by just turning it.
Does
Yeah.
even
Or break his
That's
finger
plan,
bone.
That's plan B.
yeah,
I think it
potentially.
could be plan B.
And I mean, if I needed,
I see it.
if the lock didn't work, I could just turn giant and just smash through the door.
I have no idea what's happening with Alex's connection or computer or whatever it is, but it's
It's the computer.
It is now the worst
Yeah.
I've ever had. And I'm saying this, I disconnected 4 times.
Oop.
And there they go. Oh, hello, Alex.
Hello?
There we go. Oh,
Is everything
no.
slightly
Oh,
better?
no,
All
never
right,
mind.
I don't know
No.
what happened. All right. I'm moving. If I get a better.
Bye.
Okay.
The void has taken Alex now. They're glitching in and out of reality. It reminds
Yes.
All right.
So the plan of attack then.
Yeah.
Shall we just more or less leave for the moment?
Yeah.
Put everyone leave from the moment so no one can see us. Everyone gets in the void. Not the actual void, because that would probably mean your death. But my wee void gate.
I don't
Then
get in the void gate.
stealth my way in. Talos be's the loneliest number again. And we just sneak in, grab everything, and then leave. And then Talos waits outside and then brings them down.
I will
And
proceed
cause a
with
lot
my
of
plan.
destruction.
I want to point out you haven't told anyone else your plan. So far,
Oh, I know.
You just I will proceed with my plan. So okay, fair enough. All right. We'll fast forward to the end of this day as it begins to become dark at around about 10 to nearly 11 p.m. As it's closing time I'm going to state that everyone is now, other than Talos, is now inside of the Void Gate, since there was no particular issues here.
Objections,
Yeah, I want to point out it is pitch black. You cannot see anything in this darkened mess. However, Bartholomew is able to see perfectly.
You
should forget, though.
The bone furniture is still in there. Yeah.
There's furniture, but again, like there is no light in this realm.
Unless I attempt to make thermal vision with my scope eyes.
You can attempt.
I
just fall over all of the furniture.
Yeah, I can see everyone's body shape at least.
Yeah. However, I want to point out, Bartholomew, everyone's like, I can't see it. It's like, what are you talking about? It's absolutely fine. As it becomes more apparent, the reason as to why you can see perfectly is you don't see through normal means. You see through your eye holes. You don't actually have eye organs. So it's now becoming more apparent you have the ability of just sight.
Yeah. Sight beyond sight.
It's questionable sight.
I have sight beyond vision.
You are the only one who actually didn't go inside of the dimension. What are you doing? Are you following Vale, or are you just like where are you going? What direction are you going towards?
I will follow him, although I'll ask him, Vale, which is the most valuable floor?
Probably the top floor, I guess. I'd wager.
We should definitely start with. I'm in the pocket dimension. He's not.
Yeah.
And either way, I'm just going to. Do you have to roll to be in void form, or can we just admit, accept I'm probably in void warrior mode by now?
I'm going to say that you'd have to roll for it.
Okay. Well, fortunate enough, if I screw this up, I can roll it again.
That's all good. You're in it.
I am going to attempt to activate telekinetic skin just in case.
Okay.
Yep. Is that buffed by the amplification or not? Like, as in time limit?
It's only buffed by your buffs. It's not buffed by your conduit.
Okay. Is the resistance buffed by the conduit or not?
Yes, since you are using your conduit, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so Vale, you become darkness itself, and Talos, I'm assuming that you're waiting behind, as it is still visually obvious that you can float and so on and so forth.
Yes.
As you sneak through and become one with the shadows, are you trying to go towards the entrance or the exit, Vale?
Or a fire door.
Or one of the fire exits.
More or less, I'm assuming the entrance, because I'm assuming there's shadows. Considering it's nighttime, or it's nighttime now, did you say, or is it just dark out?
It's nighttime.
I'm just going to teleport into the building then, because I've got 80 feet of range, and I'm assuming my shadows will connect to shadows closer inside the building.
You do have 80 meters of range, however, your darkness must be touching other parts of darkness. So yes, it is 100% possible to teleport from like your current location over the other side of the street, all the way up to the entrance.
Yeah.
As you sort of get there, and you're sort of like on the edge, you notice that there are some lights currently shining on the front of the actual door itself. However, there is a slight slither of darkness that is eking its way in as the lights begin to turn off from the back all the way forward, as the final security guard is starting to lock up and bring everything down. The final lights shut off in the main part of the inside of the building. The ones outside, however, do not. Again, as I said, there is a slight sliver of darkness.
That darkness, nonetheless, even as the slither, connects to the darkness inside. So I will, once again, even though I'm pretty much, I am like the shadow against the ground, I will just move through the crack of darkness into the building and hide away.
Roll me an
till-
SP.
Okay.
Somebody.
Give me a sec. I'm trying to see if I have anything for this. No. Just
Okay,
have to
that's all right.
not
Oh, you
feel.
So you just
22!
You move onto the inside of the darkness as finally the doors close and are locked behind you. As the guy starts locking the door, locking. What he does is he pulls down the shutter and he locks that on a little padlock. He then closes the glass doors, which Talos is the only one who can. Well, actually, no, you can see this as well because of your dark sight. But basically, he then closes the glass doors and then locks them with another key. And finally, he starts one by one closing these large wooden doors.
Okay. I will wait 10 or so minutes for him to more or less just finish all that and then leave.
Okay. Talos,
For-
whilst that's going on, you are sort of able to see this, since again, the lights are kind of obvious as they are pointing in this, at this guy, because again, they're shining all across the front portion of the building, lighting it up, and you see this guy is just locking everything up.
I see.
He is about, I'm going to say he's about like 50 to 60 meters away from you right now. So it's quite a good distance so far.
I should probably move towards him.
Okay. When you mean moves towards him, do you mean actually go up to him, or do you mean, how exactly do you wish to go about that?
I shall. Yeah, I guess I'll go up to him.
Okay.
Not straight in his face, but a few meters away.
Okay. So. Okay, so you go up behind him a few meters away. As he finally locks up the last door, he then turns around and just sees you.
Closed so soon?
You gave me quite a fright there, Sonny. Well, you see, the museum is closed. I'm sorry, you'll have to come back again tomorrow.
But I need to be in there tonight.
Well, I'm afraid you can't. You see, I've just locked up and everyone else has gone home.
I don't think you understand. I need to be in there tonight.
Now, hold up a second. You're sort of giving me a bit of a threatening overtone there. And I must be mistaken myself, correct?
Well, there's no threat. I'm simply requesting that you let me enter the building.
And I told you I can't do that now, sir.
But you have the keys, so you can do that.
Well, yes, but I should not be doing that, so I'm afraid you'll have to go.
Well, why don't you just give me the keys, and then I can let you go home?
Now stop it now. It's my job to keep these keys, so I'm afraid you are not going to have them. Now, if you do excuse me, I do need to be getting going. You can come back at 10 a.m. tomorrow, they'll be open again.
Can I just make it... Should we get a gravity zone around him that's just super heavy?
Yes, you can attempt to do so, yeah.
Let's go stealth. No.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
be
just
quiet,
break the
I
cops.
promise.
Okay, roll damage.
What's going on?
I just
Okay.
wanted one stealth mission. Just one stealth mission to do.
Hey,
Stealth mission to actually succeed for
my
once.
power isn't loud at the minute.
So yeah, this guy has 0 fortitude.
Yeah, speaking from experience, gravity is rather quiet.
Okay, so that's a
Very
7.
good.
So yeah, that's a definite injury, which is
Crushed his spine.
yeah. So as pretty much like the best way to explain this is he immediately just goes "Boosh," as he crushes down under the weight of this pure pressure, as you can hear like an unforgettable snap, as that's got to be some ribs, as he's taking internal bleeding. So for the next 4 turns, he will bleed, as he's now bleeding for 5 rotations. Doesn't matter, because as that does that, that punctures something beautiful, because now, as he's bleeding, he is bleeding out.
Wonderful.
Drowning in his own blood.
As he is now in exactly 0 points of health.
I'll take his keys now.
All that for some keys.
I guess roll to beat your gravity well, because like you've created like a small dome of heavy gravity.
I mean, I can just turn it off now
Oh,
if he's
okay.
unconscious.
Yeah, fair enough. Meanwhile,
that for
at the
some
Legion of
keys.
Suck, as we go on inside. So yeah, it's become very obvious that like he's now just been crushed and he's dead, or at least dying. Vale, you're the only one who knows about all of this stuff. What are you going to currently do now?
Sigh loudly, and then just
Let us
open the void
out!
gate. Everyone to come out, and then just yeah.
All right, everybody, let's take some stuff and wreck some shit. Yeah.
So as you open the gate,
I'm going to see the soon-to-be corpse and say,
No, you won't be able to see it. By the way, the only reason that Vale can see it is because he has dark sight. It allows him to, within a 90-meter radius of himself, see anything through darkness. He can discern shapes, and he can discern 3 different types of matter: solids, liquids, and gases. That's why that's the only reason why he can see. In fact, it's one of the only reasons as to why he can see in his own void. But yeah, as you let out, you have no idea about this, as it is still quite dark on the inside of here. You guys, your vision is going to be fairly impaired. It is almost pitch black. If it weren't for the fact that like some of the small amount of light is still creeping in through sort of tiny cracks of some of the windows, it would be very apparent that that you couldn't see. But yeah, you will still be rolling a disadvantage in any terms of like seeing or movement.
Can I swap my body heat vision to night vision?
Oh, you have night vision.
I've got all the scopes.
Yes, of course.
I've got everything.
Roll for it.
I'm a Gemini. I have it all.
I keep forgetting that, which is such a strange thing to forget. Yep. Okay, you can see in night vision. Bartholomew, obviously you can see, because as I said before, you can see in the void. So obviously you can see in just mortal darkness.
As we're let out and I can now see well, I'm going to stealth away from everyone.
Okay, roll stealth. And if anyone cares about where he may or may not be going, I guess roll perception. Although, I want to point this out, Vale, you will be able to see him regardless of how well he stealths, because it's omnidirectional, and you got a higher roll for your transformation than he did with his stealth. Next canon, he sort of disappears from your sort of radar-ish, but it's not exactly. It's like he sort of you notice him like move backwards, and then you're like, no, I don't care. Tuxie, you see him walk out, or at least feel him walk away, and you're like, I know that he's trying to sneakily stealth.
It's like, hey!
I babysat him once already. I'm not doing it again.
Actually, hang on a second. Sorry, as I said, you have to all roll disadvantage, so you two actually have to both roll disadvantage.
Oh, damn again! Oh.
Go ahead and roll as well. You said perception.
Yeah, you can. So yeah, no, the original rolls were fine. Bartholomew,
I'm gonna put a hand. I'm gonna put a hand in front of Toxin, just kind of say, "Leave it, kid."
Bartholomew doesn't notice this, mostly because he's just looking around and just having a look. It's like, oh, okay, so this is the museum. Okay, right. So now that all of you guys are in, again, Vale, like, you're sort of letting Arsenal go off again since you can sense him, but like again, you still sense that Talos is probably going to get in a few moments.
Can I sense anything that looks like a light switch?
You can roll me a perception.
Can I use my powers for that, or do I have to roll perception?
It actually, it can be investigation.
10!
Yeah, you can, using your darkness, you can feel out the lumps, and you can start using your own perception. Notice the different lumps in the room. Okay, no, that's just nothing. That's a fire exit.
The
a
bottom.
Fire alarm. That's this. That's a light switch. As you sort of go over and you click on it, as it then turns on the lights.
Great robbery, guys! Switch on the lights.
not like you know, like, not like all the lights, but there's like one set, like you know, like one set of lights. Like remember we said they came in like sets.
So as you turn on some lights, you still turn on the lights, and therefore you turn on the lights.
Yeah. I'm going to open a void gate now anyway, just so that everyone can then more or less just shove everything valuable into it.
Just to let you know, it can be 2 meters by 2 meters, meaning that it can be 2 meters tall and 2 meters wide, meaning that it can be a full-on 2 meter proper.
You should open 2 void gates.
Can you do that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, your special ability, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I just know
and I want to point
it's my
this
level
out.
9 ability.
I want to point this out. If you want to keep them going, don't you mean your level 8 ability?
That's one of my level abilities.
If you want to keep them going, because again they only last a few seconds, you'll actually have to keep rolling every so many minutes or something.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe we just pile everything up, and then once we're done,
either that, or since it is fairly trivialized, I would actually I can't speak. I would actually have to say you're not able to do or move or do anything whilst you're holding these open. So you have to leave everything else to everyone else.
I at least then open like one void gate on the bottom floor, and considering how far would it be to stretch my hand up to the top, like the second floor?
Is
it about 80 meters?
It is possible to be able to do so, but it would actually have to be attached through the since there's nothing since it's like a solid floor, there's nothing connecting except from the elevator shaft. So you'd actually have to use the elevator shaft.
That's what I mean. How far is that? More or
it would
less.
Be about like 10 or 20 meters up, so you could technically stretch yourself up that way.
Then yes, I'm going to just see like the Veil more or less stretch himself out. Like his arm just like Mr. Fantastic just stretches down the corridor into the elevator shaft and up into it. Just another void gate just opens it.
So there are 2 void gates, one at the bottom floor and one at the top floor. Or one at the ground floor, one at the top floor. So, you guys have work to do. Whilst that's going on,
yes.
Carlos.
Debating whether to keep this man or not, because he could be useful for my experiment.
I mean, I think it's a bit too late for that.
I don't think you understand.
He's literally dying.
Yeah, exactly. He said he had to be alive. I'll leave him outside for now, see if he's there when I come back. But I will enter the building.
How will you do so?
I will open the doors.
With the key?
Yes.
Okay, well, whilst that's going on, I'm going to say that you guys have at least roughly around about a minute for him to do that. So, I'm going to say, what objects are you trying to steal on the bottom floor, or, what are you trying to steal on the bottom floor?
Well, what is it?
Everything in the gift shop.
Oh no.
Yes.
Could I quickly try and like create a bone shopping cart?
Okay, I guess roll for that. Roll SP for that, and Blitzcannon, what exactly is it that you want to steal, sort of from the hero
From the
museum?
that armor that Viribus used to wear looks like it might be useful.
Okay. Yeah, you make a shopping cart, by the way, Bartholomew. How do you want to go about doing this, by the way? How do you want to go about doing this? Because again, they're all in glass cases.
Yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and assume whether, this is based in reality or not. It seems like the sensible thing for them to do. I'm going to assume that they've got alarms and such on those glass cases. Are there any visible locks or things like that?
They seem to have certain panels at the back that would allow one to open them. Similar to display cases, they have little locks attached to them.
All right. I would like to let's see. Does it look like there's key lock or punch code lock or combination lock or what?
Key.
Okay. Right. Don't really have anything to pick it with. Is it like a padlock or a or
no? It's like a lock.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, if only we had some keys.
Yes.
Imagine having keys.
Is Talos inside yet?
Talos is not inside. As I said, everyone has a roughly around about one action before he does come inside.
Okay.
I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to attempt to do that new skill that we did with my SP and create some poison needles.
Okay. Roll SP. Blitzcannon, are you just gonna sort of what would you like to do?
Well, I'm not even going to try breaking the case. I can't pick it, and Talos, who has the keys, isn't here yet. So I guess I will go to.
I want to point this out just to add this. You don't know
I don't
if you'll
know that...
ever get keys, so the possibility of keys is a complete mystery, dude.
Good point. In that case, I will go over to Bartholomew B. Bones and ask him to make me a skeleton key.
Very well.
So what you do is that just before you have to go into the gift shop, Blitzcannon asks you to press your finger, make a skeleton key. What you then do is you go over to the lock in question, place your finger over it, and now roll SP to sort of just grow and meld the bone inside of the lock.
Oh god, so hard.
That is not no. So as you do that and fail, Arsenal, you've gone wherever you've gone. So where is that?
I've gone upstairs.
Okay.
And I get upstairs, and because I know that they're going to come up at some point, I'm just going to hide.
Okay. Where do you hide and why?
I'm going to hide. Well,
actually, you don't need to tell me why. Just where are you going to hide?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of a good place to hide. I'm going to hide. You said there were there was a big sort of. Just trying to think. I'm just going to try to hide where there wasn't much, where the normal villains were, because there wasn't much there to steal. So I doubt anyone would come into that area.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
As you go and hide, I'm going to say in between some of the different exhibits.
Yeah. Do I need a stealth roll again?
I will only ask that of you later.
Okay.
Okay. And Talos, you have unlocked and opened the doors using both the keys and your abilities combined, I assume.
Yes, to make it easy.
As the doors are now open, and so are the shutters, as you float on in.
Can I see anyone?
Thanks to the lights, yes. You can see that there is a gate of darkness, followed by a large stretch of shadow, following up and into the elevator shaft, or up the stairs, either one. And you can only assume that that must be Vale. You then just see Bartholomew and Blitzcannon just sort of looking at the back of one of the cases, one of the display cases, and then you just see like Toxie trying to do something with their powers. As Toxie, roll your damage dice.
Yeah, I get. Oh yeah, well, forgot to roll my damage dice, silly me. Okay. Yeah, D12 plus D10.
You have made 12 poison needles of solidified poison.
Nice. I know what I'm going to do with these.
So, as you see them doing this, Talos, what do you do? Where do you go?
Hey guys, I think I've got a solution to all of this.
We look towards you, I guess.
Is it blowing things up?
No, I think that everyone should move away from the exhibit.
That sounds like blowing things up.
The case might have an alarm on it. Please don't trip it, whatever you do.
It's fine.
Somehow I find that hard to believe.
That worries me even more.
Well, escaping looks easy.
So what is it that you do?
Does anyone actually move away?
I move away, yeah.
I'm moving.
I'll take my cart to the gift shop. I'll be over.
Because I was gonna make a center of gravity that attracts everything to it, in front of the portal, or sort of just in the gate, to just suck everything into the portal at max power.
What is the size of the area of this gravity suction?
What was it? It can be half of my... Wait, the diameter is half of my range, isn't it?
Yeah, the diameter is half your range, yeah.
But if it's in like a cone...
Then it would be... Its maximum width would be all the way at your maximum range, which
is 80.
Yeah, although that basically means that every piece of matter within like 80
Exactly.
meters range and also 40 meters like width would just be sucked in. Which
Yes.
includes like bits
The
and
wall.
pieces. Yeah,
including
the walls,
We're on.
That's not how that works.
So
you said you
probably,
wanted to make
probably
a
would be
statement,
better for
Vale.
like AoE or something, but I don't know. It's up to you.
Well, we can take the entire exhibit. The Vale said he wanted to make a statement. I'm making a statement.
Technically, if you put it as if you put the main thing as the epicenter, 40 meters wide, long, and tall, I guess would actually suck up quite a lot of the matter. It's possible.
Well, let's see what happens.
Okay. So, what exactly are you doing? Just so that I know. Is this cone or AoE?
It's a cone that just it's kind of like a cone / funnel that just sucks everything into the center of the portal.
Okay.
While I am just chilling behind the portal, watching it happen.
Okay. I want to point out that, Sam, you didn't explain where it was, so I just assumed that it's just in front of that door. In front of the gift shop exit. So it's just in front of that. So where the gift shop meets the actual museum, that's where it is. Because obviously you then said that you were then stretching yourself out to then go up top to the other end of the other elevator. So that's sort of where I've imagined it since you didn't tell me. But yeah. Okay, Talos, you've done that. I'll now roll a severity. Okay.
Wow.
So, as this pulls in matter, as like a massive sudden like bassy noise is suddenly heard, as then suddenly cracking and crumbling as the roof, the walls, parts of the exhibit just start breaking apart and flying towards this gate as things just start getting swallowed up. Now, I want to point out that this thing can go up to 40 meters wide and 80 meters long, which, Bill, as you said you wanted to do. Everything within that radius, everything is getting pulled in, except from the superhero exhibit, which is just slightly left of the actual portal. So it's just going direct, as it's pulling everything from the left. Well, technically, I guess the left side of the entirety of the museum as it's being pulled in. Bricks, chunks of building, everything just flying in towards this thing like a funnel of just matter and objects as they all get swallowed into this dark hole. As things do so, as you then suddenly see a screaming Arsenal being pulled in towards as well, as he flies into the portal. Bill, you now have to roll your damage.
That's...
Thank you,
He'll
Bill.
be fine, actually. No, he'll be fine.
I don't have that much health.
Will it be fine though?
23
Plus, my
points of
damage
damage.
rolls now are actually good.
Yeah.
Like, they're never usually good.
With Arsenal, you take 23 points of damage.
So that puts me down to 9.
Yes, although since that's also beyond your...
That's that's over double my vitality as well.
So, roll me a fortitude.
How's your vitality so low?
Your own worst
Because I rolled a 2 for vitality.
Let me just put it this way: you need to roll a fortitude of above 15, otherwise this ain't gonna be good for you.
And I have a -1 to Constitution.
Oh no!
Oof.
Bye, Arsenal.
He should have just been a gun.
Okay, so that is so that's not only under 15, that's under 10. So instead of a D6, that would be D8. And that's that. As basically you feel your arm break as your body is sort of crunched and your right arm snaps. As you only take 1 extra point of damage, but it's a damage modifier, so if you get hit anywhere there, you will continue... Oh, wait, no, it's supposed to be a modifier, so it's not actually that. It's actually... I believe it's... Hang on a sec. I've got it here. The new injury system. I believe it's a modifier equal to the exact amount, so that's actually 8 points of damage. So you're actually, instead of on...
1 health.
Yep, so you're on 31 total damage. That's 1 health left. As you get sucked in, screaming, and swallowed up into the void portal.
It's a good thing then that Arsenal will just be in constant pain, considering you don't get healed or feel any different when you're in the void.
As that goes on, the building starts to shake because, yes, indeed, that power is indeed incredible. But as the ability goes, the more modifier you have with your power, the multiplier for durability is even higher, which means even if we were to not say the 15 and instead 10, since Bill's modifier is 15, but half of that is artificial, we now actually can state that it's over 230 points of durability damage to any single thing that is actually in the way of this thing. Now again, I'm not stating that...
wasn't a gun.
All objects inside of here, I'm not stating that they are getting damaged, but the building is, and since concrete doesn't have that much durability, it starts breaking apart and starts getting swallowed up as well. As it continues being swallowed, the building starts getting just completely consumed and absorbed into the portal.
We're on the first floor!
Alright guys, throw in whatever you want.
Remember Spider-Man 2?
I thought
Remember
the
scene in the end
superhero
with the
exhibits
sun?
didn't even get scratched.
What I'm imagining right now, just all of it just falling into it.
See, this is very symbolic.
As everything is being swallowed up. And...
maybe turn it off now, please.
I can't be the only one who got sucked in.
You're the only one who was in front of it. Everyone else is either beside, but just out of the radius, or behind.
I said
Fair enough.
move.
I was on the second floor.
Oh, you shouldn't have been
That's
on the
how wide
floor.
this thing is. That's how wide this It's so big. Because
He said you should have got out of the way. I didn't even know you were in the building.
Because as soon as it's like basically your thing is about like 10 meters away, which is like 5 meters wide. Oh no, this.
Why did you do this? We could have just brought all the items into it.
Just
And then
As things just
made a black
up
hole.
more and more.
I didn't think
does
they
anyone
would-
does anyone want to start throwing stuff in?
Yeah, I will.
You know,
Might as well
I
throw the
mean-
hero stuff in.
I mean, I guess just take fucking
Can we-
everything.
I mean, well, you could move it, and I'll move the portal with it, so we could just collect everything.
Yep.
Okay, both of you roll. Of you roll SP, and I guess.
I mean, everyone else, make sure to not get in the way.
I guess roll
I guess.
perception. I guess all three of you guys.
I'll say
roll
that first.
perception. Well,
That is
no,
good.
perception
Oh my
so that
God.
they can hear you, because this is a giant vacuum of gravity sucking objects that are being smashed together, being forced into a 2-meter diameter hole. They'll be crushed under the pure gravity of this.
Is any of that hitting me as well?
That's why
It
you
wouldn't
took so much
matter, would
damage.
it? Because
All right, good.
like once you're in the portal, though, you'll be fine. Ish.
Oh,
Not
yes.
if things are coming
It's
into the ball
infinite.
and hitting me.
Once
It's
you're
infinite
inside,
length. My gate, the inside of my gate.
Yeah.
Once you're inside of it, it's fine. Okay, so yeah, you guys. I'll be nice. Any of you guys who've got 10 or above, yeah, you guys hear Vale and Talos just say get out of the way as they then attempt to start moving the portal. Both of you got above the roll requirement that you need to manipulate them. So yes, as you start turning the thing around, it starts continuously sucking up this massive freaking building as it just keeps just building after building block just being
So
removed,
unnecessary.
piece of matter just being
This was
squashed
unnecessary.
and worn in.
Someone's
It's
gonna show up
sucked
tomorrow
off.
morning and be like, "What the fuck? They stole the building."
Every single thing
Actually-
as it just being torn apart and broken down. As soon as it seems as though it's about to fall on top of your heads, or just on top of the actual portal, it gets swallowed up or hit into the center of that gravity well, and then spun around, broken up into small pieces of matter, and flung inside of it like a giant vortex.
So is
gravity.
none of this is this destroying all the stuff we're stealing?
As you have done this, it's taken about 2 minutes. I'm now just going to roll something.
It's
Okay.
destroyed all this.
As parts of other buildings are being broken down just from the edge of this thing, as they're
Oh
being
my
sucked up and
God.
sucked apart, as finally you've absorbed the entirety of the building. The only thing that is left of the actual museum itself is now just the gift shop. And the only reason that you haven't absorbed that yet is because if you turned it around the others, they would actually also be sucked up.
Okay, we won't suck up the gift shop. I'll just run and grab some stuff that I want.
Okay,
You got-
alright.
Yeah,
Do you-
I guess
do
so.
you
I guess.
dissipate the cone, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
I,
And
oh
do
my
you
God.
close the void gate, by the way, Vale?
I mean, no, I'm gonna wait for everyone to get in first.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah, I guess I'll
Crowded
I'll try
in
and
there.
get I'll try and get as much as I want from the. I'm just like toxic right now.
Okay, everyone roll.
what is-
Everyone roll like. I'm gonna say dexterity. You can add. I'd say I'm gonna say you can add finesse to this to grab things. Everyone who's actually in the physical world.
Anyone who's not a crumpled heap of bones in the
Yes,
void.
Nothing.
I'm just.
I get nothing. I get nothing. This is incredible.
Okay.
I'm actually
Oh, yes.
I'm genuinely pissed off right now. I'm like this is like no this isn't this is the worst.
I wanted to point out
like, we
that
just-
the two manipulation users could actually use their
I
manipulation
know.
powers to grab
I know. I
stuff.
just wanted to see what happened if I
Okay.
did Dex.
Blitz cannon.
So can I actually roll my manipulation to just to put everything into the Darkness.
You can. Yeah. Well, we'll see how high you get depending on that. But yeah, like let's see. You
Is
grab,
it-
23.
you grabbed
Right.
a few things. What exactly are you wanting
Can-
to grab? I'll say you can grab 3 items, Vale, but no one else can say anything because I want to see. I want to see what Vale
I
specifically
mean,
chooses.
all the onesies,
Okay, so
because I know
you
Toxie
take
likes those.
you take one of
As-
each
as a
different
sign of
type
friendship.
of onesie. You take one of each different
Yes.
type of
Thank
onesie,
you.
and then you just dump them in there. Blitz Cannon, you get 1 item that you can take
From the gift shop.
from the gift shop. Yeah.
What are
Little-
the options?
Toys, onesies, clothes, fake costumes, replica costumes that cost like thousands of stars.
I'm just gonna buy like a fridge magnet type souvenir thing.
Okay.
You're gonna
Just
buy it, so you're gonna leave some
Grab
money
it.
there.
I don't know why I said buy. I'm just gonna grab a fridge magnet souvenir thing so I can be like, yeah, you see this? Yeah, it's gone now. We did that.
I see.
Yeah, I mean, can I use my needles to like just take,
No.
to spare a few
Okay,
things?
okay.
No, I can't. Great, this is
Can I just
awesome.
suck as much stuff into my pockets as I can?
Yeah, roll for your things. The only reason I say the 2 manipulation uses is because technically Vale actually is physically a mimic, and also Talos is telekinetic, so it just Okay, so you get 3 items as well.
I get a fridge magnet, a a superhero costume, and a replica of anything else there is. Is there like a...
You just get an action figure, and it's like one of those big old action figures, but it's like a random loot box action figure.
I will have that, yes.
As you just start throwing stuff and storing stuff in there, you then hear just a large explosion. Vale,
Is someone trying to outdo us?
you can hear just a large explosion as someone is just like, you can feel someone is there at the other end of the wasteland that was once this museum.
I'm still just find that amazing.
No, absolutely.
What the? Yeah.
I was trying to do some sort of roleplay thing with my character, and it was
Sorry.
just sucked into a vortex.
Yeah, no.
As you feel something, you can then
Sorry,
just hear
Graham.
someone just shout out. As you then hear, "Oh, come on! This is almost
no.
too hilarious."
It's
I didn't
him
think
again.
we'd be playing Loogie's big house today, but here we are.
As suddenly you just see light coming from outside. As Vale, you can not only dark sense, but you can see this now. Any of the rest of you who peer over through the missing area, you can then see flames surrounding the back of this guy, covered in a special type of armor with a cape and a large sword on his back. White and blonde as well as red hair, spiked up. This guy standing before you, about 20 to 30 meters away, is the fire dragon, and that is
You're
where
gonna
we
lick the
shall end
Talos.
this session.
We're dead.
And that's
I
it.
mean,
Thing.
thing is,
That's so great. Awesome.
thing is,
Thanks.
next week it could be easily solved by like the house is that, you know what, gravity will again. Just
I mean, we could just dump all the stuff onto them.
Yeah.
I do have a gigantic
No,
museum
it's like
worth
it's-
of
This
Like,
stuff.
it's
We were
gravity
supposed
well on
to
the other
steal
side that
stuff
sucks
and get
everything
law
out.
stuff, and we didn't even get it.
I just want to point
We
out
didn't even get law stuff that I wanted.
angry every
everything.
single one of them is because of a decision that was made. That is so brilliant. I love this because you can see the chaos that
I
this
hate
game
this.
creates, and I love how much chaos all of you have suddenly flung yourselves into.
Talos.
Like
I didn't.
Yeah.
I
my
didn't
only-
at all. It was all
Yeah.
you.
My only question is, how much stuff did I get in my cart?
Yes.
I was actually going to say an entire shopping cart worth of stuff, but unless if you, I'm going to say, are there any particular items that you were or weren't interested in?
No, I was just gonna pull anything I saw off the shelf.
Okay, I'm gonna say costumes were out of possibility only just because of like the size of them. But everything else, I will say I will roll a dice for that, and we'll see what you get at the at the end of this raid if you guys make it out alive.
Which I doubted.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Again, we can always just go for our classic strategy of throwing a building on top
Actually,
of them.
Hang on a second. You've
Or just
got
void getting him.
I've got like 7 minutes of telekinetic skin left.
So that's extra super.
So 7 minutes left of
Great.
telekinetic skin. Okay, right. Definitely keep that as a note.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
thank
Yeah,
you
I
very
mean,
much,
I've got,
guys,
like-
for joining us. Sorry for those who have been listening to the stream or who have been listening to me talk to myself every now and again because Discord was playing up.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for watching, especially to those who are actually listening right now. This has been Dev Plays of Animite Tales. Again, this is a game that I've been designing for a while, and I just thought it would be nice for you guys to all see the playtesters, the wonderful, crazy stuff that they get up to. So thank you to all of you guys who've joined, and thank you to everyone who's listening. I hope that you guys are looking forward to the next session, and I hope you guys are enjoying this so far.
We're all gonna die.
And with
I'm
that,
already
I mean,
dead.
With that attitude.
and
I
with
don't
that,
think we
I
are.
shall I shall end this. Thank you very much, and take care. Good night.